Just stop those disgusting, flappy fucking lips of yours. No, that line is as good as any to open up on. Spencer and I were talking about how I myself, let me actually prepare myself more.
Yeah, you fucking apple-eating fuck.
I myself noticed, I've known it for years, but when we first started doing, this is Old Man Witch podcast, by the way.
Yes, hello, I'm Spencer Scott Holmes.
And I'm Ryan Dunigan. When we first started doing the show, we didn't notice it so much because there's a big space between us and the microphone. But then when we started doing the show over Skype, we're both a lot closer to the microphone, meaning you could hear my lips smacking a lot more when I'm about to say a big long sentence, so you can hear me, and then inhale, and then outburst all this shit. Now, I've been noticing it just always annoys the fuck out of me, and I know if it annoys the fuck out of me, it's gotta annoy the fuck out of someone else, so we're just talking about, like, yeah, you could just, like, have your mouth kind of open and, like, only press your lips together when you really have to, so people look at you like you're kind of, like, mentally challenged, like,
Yeah, something like that. Well, there's secrets that, like, from, like, voice acting people that I've kind of learned. It's like, you're supposed to eat, like, an apple beforehand. Kind of creates that.
Which is what I was doing, giving this a shot.
Yeah, sometimes chapstick also works well, too. It's like, let me put my makeup on.
You just constantly wet your lips. I just don't want,
that mostly dries them out, though. That almost makes it kind of worse.
That's kind of weird, yeah. You just don't want to be that guy. Like, there's also that sound you hear sometimes when people don't realize they're being recorded. They're talking, but they don't realize they're being recorded as much, and they're just being like that noise. That noise right there, just, yeah.
Well, you say it's like how you didn't notice it back in the early days. Well, I remember, like, when we did our initial podcast, like the very, very first one, like, I was going through and cutting out all of those. And then it just got to a certain point, like, after a couple episodes, you're like, that's a lot of fucking work. I'm not doing that anymore.
This is just who he is. Just some disgusting, lip-smacking monster.
Well, and then it's one of those ones you listen to other people's podcasts, and it's like, oh, well, Kevin Smith's doing that, so I guess it's okay.
I guess maybe I just have a lot of vanity. Maybe I just notice it a lot more myself. I notice it every so often, like I listen to a lot of Double Toasted. I notice Corey Coleman does it every so often. But for myself, I've noticed like every other fucking sentence. I'm like, fuck, there it is.
I know, you sound like the kid, giving a speech in class in like elementary school where he's like,
and then,
the story of my cat,
Mr. Mittens. Yeah.
Mr. Mayonnaise. Like, oh, that's a gross name for your cat.
Mr. Mayonnaise. I didn't realize for like a long time, Smashing Pumpkins, one of my favorite songs of theirs is Mayonnaise. I didn't realize that was the name of the song because they never say the name in the...
Yeah.
It's like Billy Corgan's like, I need mayonnaise. There's no point in the song where he says, I have no idea why it's called mayonnaise. It sounds like a really self-reflective song about what it's like being a teenager in the 90s and all that, and kind of angsty, but it's very... I really like the song a lot. It's off Siamese Dreams. Mm-hmm. And maybe it's because it's called Mayonnaise because it's all about him and he's pale and pasty as fuck. I don't know. But it's one of those songs, the second I found out, like, wait, that's the name of the song? I kind of liked it just a little bit less.
I felt the same way with that song too. It's better to play that album and not look at like this, like the next track coming up, and just have it go through. But I think that's also like that. That's like the '90s thing where it's just like we're just gonna make it have just a weird name that has nothing to do with the song. Why '90s? I think that's more what it is too.
Mm-hmm. Definitely a little bit of that.
Like I was listening to, I got the audio book from the Broken Lizard guy, the main guy, Jay, with the long Indian last name. The guy who kind of directs it all. Mm-hmm. And he was talking about the first movie they did. They called it Puddle Cruiser. He's like, why did we call it Puddle Cruiser? It was the 90s. We were just into calling it weird, obscure names. Had nothing to do with what the movie was.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think it's just sometimes how you just get the names of... It sounds cool or it just sounds interesting. So, like, oh, good enough. I mean, very rarely... I don't know, one of my favorite shows... There's one right there. One of my favorite shows is...
Slap yourself every single time you fucking do it.
Bad! Don't do it! One of my favorite shows is Frisky Dingo. And they really crowbar in why it's called that within the season finale, within the last couple of seconds. And it's really crowbarred in there. And they even make a reference in the second season, close to the last episode, and they say, you don't even know the name of you don't even know the password. Frisky Dingo, and then one guy's like, oh, okay, well, that's why it's called that.
Yeah, exactly. But I think that was just another one too, where it's like we're just gonna give it a random ass name, because there's always that toss up in life. It's like, do you give it a direct name so people know exactly what you're getting, or do you give it just the most random name? You're like, that's so weird, I gotta see what this is.
Yeah. I mean, well, just a lot of weird, even like bands that weren't all that hard or all that kind of, I guess you call Hootie and the Blowfish kind of grungy, but they seem kind of like the button-up, proper kind of grunge guys that you.
It's like the grunge rock band you could take your parents to.
Yeah.
Or your grandparents even. They would be okay with it.
Well, these guys aren't so bad, and how about that? Oh, wait, there's a black fella up there singing? I don't know about this.
What, I mean, like, he's not in the background, like, just playing saxophone or something? You mean he's literally up on the front stage? Well, that's a little bit risque for me, but,
sorry, Grandpa.
Well, if you kids say it's okay, I want to be hip and cool, too.
He's like, oh, this guy knows how to sing. I like this. Right on.
I
want to be with you, too.
Well, that's totally what Hootie and the Blue... Mine's like those kind of bands that come out like at a certain time period, and it's almost like they're not meant for like the kids. They are literally meant to be like kind of like a gateway band for like the adults and grandparents.
Even though this was more of a band probably aimed at younger people, they sort of remind me of ska. I don't know why they remind me of ska and like the Mighty Mighty Bullstones or Brewstones, whatever, or Bosstones. Yeah, I don't know why they remind me of that, but something about it. I feel like somehow there's some kind of link to them through that. I don't know why. No other grunge band, just them. I can't really pinpoint how or why I feel that way. But just maybe because the way they kind of... Because it sounds like the grunge sound, but a lot more squeaky or clean. And, I mean, you got something like Real Big Fish, which... They had like it was all happy and upbeat and swingy, but at the same time it was like they sing about depressing shit when you actually stop and listen to it. Mm-hmm. And then you got something like the Mighty Mighty Bosstones, which have you ever seen the video to Knock on Wood?
If I have, it would have been a long time ago. I could not tell you.
Well, it's because they're all these guys like in, suits wearing ties, all happy, dancing around. And then at some point, though, they show, like, I think the guitar player, and he's almost looking like he's fucking possessed, like leaning in, looking angry. Like he wants to fucking, like, angrily fuck who's ever on the other side of the camera. Uh-huh. And it's like, whoa, what the fuck happened?
Well, that's how a lot of those ska bands where it's like, they almost like, they're like, on the surface, they're super happy. And it's like on the inside, they're almost like these partial grunge rock bands that just like instead change like their musical sound.
Well, there's some stand-up comedian, remember, who said it, like, I was in a ska band once. For those of you who don't know what ska is, it's what plays in the head of a fat kid when he realizes he got an extra mozzarella stick.
It took me the longest time. I remember when I was like a kid and someone was like, oh, ska music. I'm like, well, what the fuck is ska music? And I just remember they're like, well, it's kind of like, grunge rock. They said grunge rock meets reggae. I'm like, the fuck is that?
I barely hear the reggae-ness of it. I mean, I kind of sense it a little bit. I feel a lot more like pop punk with just a pop punk with a saxophone. So.
Well, they do have there is a lot of reggae definitely in ska. That is for sure. Even though I've learned in life, I really dislike reggae, but I really like ska. Unless it's Bob Marley. Bob Marley's like the one person who can play reggae, and for some reason, it's really cool. The second any other band plays reggae, I almost like want to punch him in the face. Like, I don't know what it is. Like, reggae just almost all sounds like the same. Like, it seems like that's one of those genres, like, if you really wanted to be in a band and you didn't want to put a whole lot of effort into it, you could just become a reggae artist.
Yeah, just throw up a Jamaican flag behind you, get some dreadlocks, you're good to go. Here's some bongo
just look
drums.
as white as fuck, because that seems to be like the prerequisite for like California reggae bands.
I think it wasn't even so much real reggae that fucked it up for me. It was just white kids that really loved Pepper, and they would play Sublime on an acoustic guitar all the time. And it's not that Sublime's a bad band, but they're one of those bands that they went from being a band that I discovered, and I mean they were around for long before that. When I started listening to music, they're one of the first, I'm going to say, good bands I got into probably around late middle school. And within a span of like 2 years, they went from being this band that, oh yeah, these guys are really cool, I like them, and then being like, no, done with them. Why? Because every asshole plays one of 5 Sublime songs on acoustic guitar.
Yeah, I think that's almost kind of what sort of ruins Sublime. It's not that it's a bad band, it's just that too many assholes. It's like the kind of people that really get into Sublime are always those kind of guys like, I got acoustic guitar, I'm going to play these songs, I'm going to come sit out in front of everybody even though nobody really wants to hear me, I'm going to make it like everybody does. I don't know.
They always have the sun on their shirt, the Sublime sun that looks all psychedelic.
Exactly. I like when you mentioned Pepper though, because I remember like whenever I think of Pepper, this is what I always remember. I remember being like in college, and there was that guy's like, "Dude, you guys want to go see Pepper tonight?" And then there's just this long pause, and then you're all like, "Red Hot Chili Pepper?" He's like, "No, man, Pepper." I'm like, "The fuck is Pepper?"
It's just one of those white boy. Maybe there's a tan guy on bass, but it's mainly It's mainly just a bunch of white kids doing reggae, and it's not that it's even god awful. It just sounds like we're doing ska. Not even so much reggae, ska. It's not that it's god awful. It's just like it just sounds the fucking same to me after a while.
Yeah,
believe me. I really don't like. Go ahead.
I was saying, I ran audio once for a reggae festival. It was terrible. Every band was like identical. It just felt like nobody played a different song, and there was literally like 6 bands from like all over the fucking West Coast. So it's just like that kind of thing. It's like, and it's weird because this is the weird thing. As much as I dislike the reggae, I love ska like a lot. Like Real Big Fish is one of my favorite bands of all time, and you know that band is about as ska as you can fucking get. And it's got reggae elements, but I think it's just because it's a mix. You get reggae, you get punk. They can literally throw metal in there. They can throw weird stuff in there. They can throw fun poppy stuff in there. They can try all kinds of weird genres. They can mix in old music. They can mix in blues. And I think that's why it is, where a lot of reggae bands are just that same, like, it's that same beat. It's almost kind of like how some country bands are, too. It's like, you realize that, like, they only know their 3 chords and they never expanded farther into it, you know?
Well, I feel like one reason why people look to Bob Marley so much is... it's more than anything, even though his songs are kind of chill and soothing, his songs they leave you with a happy, upbeat feeling, you know, like Redemption Song, for instance, or even, Don't Worry. So, I think more than anything, it's kind of his writing. I mean, musically it probably works too, but I think it's more his writing is what makes Bob Marley stand out. And everybody else, I'm sure there are some really talented reggae artists out there. I don't know who the fuck they are, though, because it's one of those things I just never really got into it, and I think it's California white kid reggae that kind of ruined it for me. But what I really don't like, though, is there's a lot of this... I can't even name the names of the fucking bands, but they'll take... It's like that's... Earlier we were talking about that white kid, like Santa Cruz, kind of like ska shit. Uh-huh. Well, there's this other one where it's super poppy, but I noticed it in a lot of trailers to family movies or... kid-friendly sport movies or something. Like, I remember there was that one... Remember a few years back, there was a trailer for that movie. I want to say it starred John Hamm, and I want to say it was a Disney movie. It was like, he's a white guy going to India, getting people playing cricket to go play baseball. It was like, inspired by a true story. It almost seems like this could be a 90s movie.
Shit, yeah, I remember when that one was coming out.
Well... The song they play in it, it's one of the... I hate the song. This is one of the most hated songs. Just like... It's obviously a bunch of white guys. I'm pretty sure they're white, at least. And it's just like, this is gonna be the best day of our life.
Oh, God, that song.
It's just like, fuck this song. And
shit, there was like a year period where that appeared in commercials and trailers like nobody's business. It was almost like a terror to go to the movie theaters.
I just hear at the end of that song, like, all I can hear is, like, City White Boy, sing like Jamaica. That's all I fucking hear.
Like that.
Yeah, that shit.
God, that song was
just... You hear the xylophone, the... It's just like, fuck this fucking song. And, like, Imagine Dragons is one of those bands people are trying to push me to. And, like, oh, okay, I like 2 or 3 of their songs. The rest of it's kind of not for me, but it's not god-awful. Mm-hmm. Then they started doing a lot of that shit, like, on fire. Like... What the fuck is... Holy shit. Like, I'm one of those people, like, when someone starts talking about cultural appropriation, I kind of roll my eyes a little bit at a lot of things. But this is an example. No, I get this example. This one I totally fucking get. Are you that sympathetic of the cause? No, I just fucking hate the music, so I'm going to use any excuse I can to make it go away.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just, it's weird too. It's like that's like the kind of music. It's like, really, you probably couldn't get more like happy feeling than that music, but for some reason that makes me want to punch somebody in the face. Like I start to get enraged. It's that weird thing where it's like, it's almost kind of like soft rock, that kind of stuff makes me more angry than any heavy metal known to mankind. In fact, heavy metal's like a calming music compared to everything else.
I guess it depends on the soft rock shit to me. I mean, I guess it's... I can't think of any bands off the top of my head, but I guess there's that kind of like... You want to, like, I guess kind of like maybe that 90s, like that mid-range between... It's not grunge, but it's that drive from like early 90s to like... or like early 90s to late 90s. Something kind of like... I don't even know the name of who sings this fucking song, but it's... He's everything you want. He's everything you need. It's like that type of shit.
Yeah, exactly. Well, it's radio rock at the end of the day. Like, you know what I mean? It's like stuff that it's easy. You know, it makes people like, you know, there's no like judgment against it. You know, like grandparents aren't going like, oh my God, what's this heathen shit? And it's just like, you know, it's like that kind of stuff that they play like almost like when you're in a store. But that's the kind of music I hate more than anything. It's
not going to offend anybody, but it's still kind of new. Where it's like, that's a good example of what you just said right there. It's like there's another one. What's the other one? It's like another like lame ass, like Matchbox 20. For me, was one that I couldn't stand. That was one that was. I'm drawing the blank on the actual lyrics, but I remember the beats, and that was just a band that played so much. And I was like, no, just go away, please stop. And this is a time where I like shitty music.
Like Kids WB one Saturday morning. It was like, you know, next to Pokemon and Batman Beyond, Matchbox 20.
Well, they would do that every so often, Kids WB. We've mentioned this before, but I remember it was, take it back to fucking 90s.
Bare Naked Ladies?
I don't know. That's a weird one.
I thought that was weird. As a kid, it's like 10 years old. I'm trying to watch Ninja Turtles here. And they're like, here's some Bare Naked Ladies, kids. You're like, oh, sick. Fucking naked chicks are going to show up on here with the frog. And then it's just like these three fat, overweight, like white guys like,
Canadian
hey, what's
dudes?
going on, kids? Because that's what I remember. There were just these like big kind of fat, nerdy guys on there. There's probably one token skinny guy or something.
It's been 1 week since I saw Ninja Turtles. Because that's what they would do. They'd find what they would take. Because that's what they did with Lou Bega. They would, okay, hosting Kids WB this fucking Saturday is Lou Bega, and he's gonna introduce Pokemon. Little bit of Pikachu in my life. Little bit of Team Rocket, also nice. All right, start the fucking show.
Yeah, it's just like. No. Weird Al did that good. He took your song and made it into a fairly awesome song featuring Jerry Springer. But then you guys are now aping Weird Al with your own song. It's fucking weird.
Yeah, and so they would be like hosting, because I don't remember the Bare Naked Ladies one, but I can imagine what that would be. I remember the Lou Bega one. And I was just really off-put by it. Like, even as a kid, I'm like, this song is about fucking a bunch of people, and he's introducing Freakazoid.
And now he's about fucking a bunch of Pikachu.
Yeah.
Was that what Freakazoid was on? Was it on WB? It wasn't Cartoon Network?
It started on WB. That's where most of those Warner Brothers shows started on Kids WB. And then I think reruns hit Cartoon Network.
Well, yeah, because eventually Cartoon Network was bought by WB. I couldn't remember if that time period Freakazoid was like a Hanna-Barbera show initially or if it was a Warner Brothers show initially.
I need to look back on that show because that's a Paul Dini, Bruce Timm show, and that's just them kind of going wherever they want, kind of like a hidden, like it could be kind of a kid's show. I remember there was an episode where he's on a date with some girl, and he doesn't realize that she's a monster, and I don't know if she gets killed by the end or if she just goes to jail. But he's walking away, he's talking to his cop buddies. He's like, some cases just don't win either way. They're walking. It starts playing some kind of jazz piano song, like jazz lounge song. It's like, sometimes your girlfriend is a monster. You just don't realize it. I'm like, oh my fucking.
See, that's probably one of those shows that if you came back to.
Its audience. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. But I think it's one of those shows, if you came back to that show, I bet you it's even better. Because I kind of remember watching it as a kid, and it was like, it wasn't a show, it was just kind of like a show, it was like, it was okay. You know what I mean? Like, I wasn't going to go out of my way to watch Freakazoid, but if it was on, it's like, oh, okay, yeah, I'll watch it, you know? But I bet you'd almost appreciate it more nowadays.
I bet it's just kind of a bunch of hidden adult jokes that kids didn't get. I can see it being that. Because I remember hearing back on it, people like, oh my god, Freakazoid was so good. But as a kid, I'm like, I never really watched it that much. I remember here and there seeing it. So it's one of those shows. I remember there's a whole episode all about copyright infringement, and they're just going around town like, well, I want to change my name to this. Well, I can't because that guy owns the rights to that. Okay, let's all go. So there's this whole parade of people just going, trying to make this train effect. Like, hey, and I think at the end they just them getting into a settlement case or some shit like that. So it's like, that's a kid's show? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Well, see, and that's the thing, too, is when I was a kid, it was like, I generally, like, whenever something was kind of like a weird show, it didn't, like, gravitate me as much. Like, I wanted my things to be kind of serious. I wanted them to be kind of almost a little bit more plausible. So whenever you got kind of like, in a sense, like cartoon style, you know what I mean? And I don't mean that by like the show like that, but you know, things that are Looney Tunes, they're just kind of wacky. Like what people think of as like original old school style cartoons. The more something was like that, I mean, I don't get me wrong, I liked it, but it just wasn't like, I didn't like it as much as like Batman or Johnny Quest. Like I like things that almost felt like they could almost be live action. They just happen to be cartoon.
Well, I feel like in the 90s, you could, if you look long enough, you could find some stuff in the 80s and 70s and even 60s with Johnny Quest. But for the most part, I feel like 90s is the first good generation of really good cartoons for kids, because by that point you have a bunch of fans who loved animation cartoons making it themselves. And I guess you had that to the 60s to some extent.
Yeah, the 60s, I was going to say, that was the other time period where there was like, I think because also the people that grew up watching cartoons like in the theaters decided to start making them. Because you get Johnny Quest, and you get Space Ghost, and you get the Herculoids, you get all those great Hanna-Barbera ones at that time period. You got Speed Racer, you got Scooby-Doo, you know what I mean? There's a lot of good stuff there. It's by the time it gets to the 70s, it's kind of where they're like, wait a second, I think I got a cheaper way of doing this. And then from there, it just starts to get cheaper and cheaper into the 80s. Not saying that there's not good stuff in the 70s and 80s. It's just, I feel like it's just not up to par, you know?
And just to clarify what I said, because I said first good generation of cartoons, I didn't mean like that, because, you know, Warner Brothers and early Disney stuff is obviously classics. But I mean, it went from being this thing to being like, oh, you know what, it's not just a silly kid format. We could actually tell a real story with this. And that's where I think, you know, I know we're Batman fans here, but Batman animated series, X-Men, Spider-Man, then other shows. I think from there, and I think something like Freakazoid is probably like, even though I don't remember the show that well, I would assume it's kind of like a middle ground on that, because it's probably, it was satire, and it was probably also poking fun at the genre. It was probably just here too early. I bet something like that would do great now.
Yeah, exactly. Well, speaking of kind of cartoons, I got a little show and tell here just because I thought this was fucking hilarious. The other day, I was at the grocery store, and I saw that they had, let's see if you can see it. Obviously, we're going to have to just describe it. The Powerpuff Girls movie was there, and I was like, oh, okay, that's interesting. But I flipped it around, and look it on the back. It says it's rated R.
Oh, that is awesome.
And I was like, for strong violence and language.
That is fucking awesome.
And I was like, it was like fucking $2 or $2.99, and I was like, I have to have this just for the fucking misprint of whatever it is. That is so
That's
fucking
the reason
cool.
why it's probably there for so cheap, because it was probably a misprint. The thing's probably fine by itself, but it was just like, like, oh look, it looks fine. Like, what the fuck, dude? There is literally, what? It's literally not even right next to it. There's PG-13, then R. How the fuck did you fuck this up, Billy? We could have still sold this and put in the discount bin for PG-13, but R, what the fuck? Kids are gonna be checked at Walmart when they buy this shit.
I know, that's why I was like, oh my god, that is so fucking cool, having a rated R Powerpuff Girls like cover. Well, I mean, it'd be only even cooler if it was actually rated R Powerpuff Girls. Just imagine how violent that would be.
Come on, girls, let's fuck them all up. Yeah.
Strong language. But no, I saw that, I was like, oh my god, that is a must get. I'm like, how could you not have that on your shelf? That is so fucking cool. I've never actually seen the Powerpuff Girls movie too, so like it works out in that way as well.
They're fighting some monster. Buttercup rips off the horn of the monster they're fighting. He's like, you thought you could fuck this city? Looks like the city's gonna fuck you! And just rams that horn in its fucking ass.
See, this is a show right here that I'm surprised nobody's kind of made like a parody kind of is take like Powerpuff Girls, but make it sort of like an adult R-rated show. Not like adult like isn't weird, but just like take that violent, because you know that show was already super violent for like a kid's show. Because that was like the whole thing was like just women just running around punching things in the face like over and over until like it was beaten, battered, and bruised. But like almost if you just did it where it's just like overly violent, like gothically violent, you know, like they're just ripping monsters apart and so on. Still keep it like cute and fun, but like just keep it just like just crank the violence and maybe the language up and just keep it like that. Literally, like what whoever to put this movie together, like what they said, strong violence and language. I think that's all it needs to be. Like, don't make it weird and creepy, like sexual wise, because that would almost like ruin it. But
well, is that like the Australian rating or something, or what?
No, the Canadian rating only gave it a 14. They're like, it's okay.
I'm surprised Canada gave that a 14.
So that guy fucked up twice, or whoever did. Like,
what if in Canada it is rated 14? Like, it's teaching these girls wrong values. You don't want to go and punching around, eh? Yeah. Be nice girls, Pass the circle. I'm doing such. We've had so many Canadian people on the show, and here I am doing the most stereotypical Canadian accent.
Well, sometimes they have those voices.
Sometimes, yeah.
No,
that's funny though. I mean, that alone was probably, how much did you pay for that thing?
$2.99.
$2.99. Yeah. $2.99 is worth an R-rated Powerpuff Girl movie. I mean, I've never seen the movie myself.
The movie itself's probably good, because I always liked Powerpuff Girls. That was a show I liked a lot back in the day.
Well, that was also one of those shows when it first came out. You kind of, not that you had to totally hide it, because it actually was a good show, but it was one of those things you didn't want to say out loud around too many adults, because I know how it sounds. Like, dude, did you see new Powerpuff Girls?
Yeah, it doesn't, especially if you're like sitting in the back of the car and your dad's like driving you and your buddy fucking like, I don't know, like to the movie theater or something like that, and you're in the back like, dude, see the new Powerpuff Girls? He's just like, this is where it starts. Next thing you know, they'll be wearing dresses and checking at each other.
He'll be in the closet putting on his mother's high heels. I know it.
I just know it. I know it. Not like there's anything wrong with being gay, but just not my son.
Not this way.
Not this way. Not the Powder Puff Girls. Dad's Powerpuff.
Dude, which one would you be? I'm Bubbles. One Buttercup.
Oh God. Dad, you can be Blossom. He just starts trying to veer into like traffic. This is the best thing for you boys. The semi-truck's coming onwards. He's like, we're going at it. Slams the gas down.
No, Dad, I was wrong. You're Mojo Jojo. That sounds slightly less feminine. Pulls back into the other lane.
What is he? He's a black ape. Okay, well, son, say those things separate from each other. Don't get shouting around that he's a big black ape.
That was one of those things where it's like, who was like, the main? Oh, he was the main villain. But I guess the second one down would have been him, which was essentially Satan, but he was really like flowery and very like, oh my God, hello children.
Yeah, there was that, and then there was fucking the best character of all of them.
Fuzzy Lumpkins.
Yeah, Fuzzy Lumpkins. Yeah, my property. I miss you, Joe.
Representative of Tuolumne County.
I know, exactly. There is that. But I don't know, Powerpuff Girls and like Sailor Moon, because I remember like at those time periods, that was like the kind of thing where you'd like watch those shows, but then you didn't just go like express your like love of these shows just in public. You kind of found your friend, and then like once you kind of geared them in, like, oh yeah, I was watching Dragon Ball Z last night. Oh yeah? Yeah, I was watching some Gundam Wing too. Oh, that's pretty cool. Did you happen to catch, that new episode of Sailor Moon? Yeah, dude, I watched that too. And there's just kind of like that, like, oh, it's okay to say now.
I'm not gonna lie, Sailor Moon was one of those things I never really got into it, but I did watch it all the time just because it came on before. I want to say it was on before Pokemon. So, and my thought process was, all right, we just gotta toughen this out, and Pokemon's on. But also, when you're like fucking 10, like, well, these girls are kind of hot, so it makes it okay.
Well, this is kind of like what Sailor Moon was, because initially that was like the initial like 90s anime show. Like that's the one that really gave way before Dragon Ball Z and Pokemon came out to the US. It was Sailor Moon, because it came out in like 95 or 96 in the US, and it was on USA, I want to say, because it came on like almost right after Sewer Sharks initially. Because it was on that.
Now that you got back from the gym, you pumping iron with your buds, time to stare at some fucking women.
Yeah, and fight crime.
They're underage.
It's okay, you are
sure
too,
as
right?
fuck don't look like it. Sewer Sharks.
But and then it's like that, that had its little run, and that was kind of a big deal, because I remember like there was Sailor Moon products and everything in stores. Like, what the fuck? And that was that time period too, where like you would look at it and it'd be like, there's something different about this show, but I just can't put my finger on it. And then later on, it came on Cartoon Network and they put it on like the anime block. So it was like Gundam Wing, Dragon Ball Z, Sailor Moon, and whatever the hell else they. I don't know what they had. They had something else there. Oh, it probably was like Voltron and like
It was rotating slot.
Gotcha Man, whatever. I can't remember anymore what the fuck the American version was called because I know for a fact it was not called Gotcha Man, but that's what it's called in Japan.
What just comes to mind is just a dude running around just grabbing other people by the ass. Gotcha! Gotcha!
So that's the reason why they couldn't call it that in the fucking U.S. It would not have went over well. Be like, dude, you're watching Gotcha Man, you fucking fag.
Hey man,
hey,
I'm
it's a pretty cool show. I
Episode.
mean, it's like Power Rangers, but they're all birds. Fucking fag.
Oh, that one, yeah.
That's a great show. I liked it a lot.
Isn't that like God, they're like
I think
G-Force or something like that?
that might have been the American name, I think.
They're all well. There's also like an American ripoff kind of where it was done by the same creators of like Thundercats or something, and they're all like in silver bird outfits, and there's like a little bronze robot one, some shit like that.
Yeah, that's a different show there. I know which one you're talking about too, but no,
I think that was almost a ripoff of that.
Yeah, this was like old school 70s anime that they were playing for us because they need to have some filler, with, I guess, along with Gundam Wing.
Yeah. Well, Gundam Wing was one of those ones like it brought in like things about politics, like wow, shit got fucking deep. Does like because it was one of those things like they made it out to be like it was one of those things where like I remember watching that with my parents and like they weren't by any means like, man, I sure hope this hero guy makes it out of here with Troa or nothing like that, but it was one of those things like they watched it with me at one time and like, oh wow, this is actually kind of more serious or deeper than I thought it was because it's all about, you know, the colonies trying to get away and have because I want to say it was the colonies trying to get away and be their own separate states from Earth, but Earth is kind of looming over them the whole time, and them going to war with each other. That's what it was about, right?
Yeah, something like that. I've been really wanting to watch that show again. I see that they have the entire set on Crunchyroll, and I'm like,
And a lot of people fucking died in that show too. Like
Yeah.
lots of people died.
It was a ballsy show. That was really like my initial step where I feel kind of bad, but like that's where I start doing the thing where I started breaching away from American cartoons and going into like anime and going, no, I'm older now. I don't need these cartoons anymore. Sorry, Justice League. And
So if you're like over at the if you're walking through the cafeteria, you have like fucking Batman, fucking Spider-Man, Wolverine. And I don't know, we'll just throw Bugs Bunny at the counter too. And then he says, "Oh, hey," Spitz walks right by. You sit next to like Goku and like Sailor Moon and like Hero from Gundam Wing, and
Big
you just kind of
O,
shoot. You just give kind of like a little like, hey, kind of a good little nod to the guys across, like, hey, yeah, I'm just over here, no big deal. And they just get this heartbroken look, and Goku's like, yeah, that's my best friend, man.
best friends for life.
Yeah, dude, yeah. And Batman just turns around looking sad, like he was one of us once.
And it's one of those ones, it's not like it was one of those ones like, I'm not into Batman or Spider-Man or anything like that anymore. It wasn't that. Like, I still was like, oh yeah, I love Batman and fucking X-Men, but I had this kind of weird connotation that, like, once they started flipping at the shows too, it's like, oh, we guess what we got coming out? We got Spider-Man Unlimited, or no, it wasn't Spider-Man Unlimited. It was like the one where he had the web armpit.
Spider-Man or whatever.
They really, it was like as hardcore 90s as you could get.
It was. I want to say it was Spider-Man Unbound or some shit. I don't know. It was like basically their answer to Batman Beyond. It was like,
yeah,
here's
exactly.
the Spider-Man version. It was just like, yeah, no.
I've been wanting to watch that one too, but it's hard to run across that copy. But then also, then there was TMNT, and I remember kind of just being like, not my Ninja Turtles. That was like my kind of reaction to like these shows. Like, it's like a 10-year-old. You're having these like things like, oh, they're already switching generations on it. You're like, what? We're not good enough anymore. You gotta appease the new generation. Like,
well, that's the thing when it first happens to you, you feel like, what the fuck? I grew up on this. Then once you get older, you're like, no, I don't care. I get it. I mean, was I buying the toys? No. So, makes sense they'd switch it out, start over from scratch.
Well, this is the thing, too, is then you go to watch TMNT, like, later in life, and you're like, yeah, it's actually kind of a better show than the original one. You know? Didn't want to admit it. No, it's just like, they take it just that tad bit more serious, and what I liked is, like, I remember, like, I just watched just, like, one random season, because I found it, like, at Big Lots or something like that. Not even Big Lots, just, like, some, like, pharmacy or something like that. It's like, fuck, $2 for a whole season? Hell yeah. And I like this. The whole season, there was no Shredder in it. It's like, see, there you go. It's like they had all kinds of just different villains the whole way through. I'm like, that's pretty cool. And it was like taken, it was in like, I guess like Batman the Animated Series feel with, still Ninja Turtles-ness and so on. Like, it's great. Like, I would love to watch the whole thing of that.
Well, it was one of those things that went from being this show about, because I don't even remember. Here's the thing. That was one of my favorite things when I was a little kid. I barely remember. I remember like the big characters, but I barely can tell you how any episode really went. I just remember each one was basically a commercial to introduce a new toy. That's essentially what it was. Because Shredder and Brain would be there, and they would bring in, or Krang. Shredder or Krang would be there, them together, and they would bring in a couple different monsters, and then there'd be a toy out for that monster, and we never see those characters again. Sometimes they come back, usually not, though.
Yeah, it's like that show starts, like, the first season's pure amazing, and then the second one I think is not too bad, but after a while it just kind of starts to run its course for a while, but then once it gets farther into it, then they start doing a really good job with Ninja Turtles. There's just like that middle section, like seasons 2, 3, maybe 4, where it's like they almost just fight Shredder over and over and over again. It's just like the same thing almost again. It's like, okay, Shredder, don't get me wrong, Shredder's totally awesome. One of the best villains of all time, I will say, but what makes him awesome is that he doesn't appear that often. It's like in the comics, the original comics, he's only in there twice. He appears in the first 6 like issues or whatever, and he dies, and then he doesn't come back around again till like 15 issues later, which is kind of a big deal, like in small press comics. And he comes back, and they have a way that they explain how he comes back too. It's not just like he randomly comes back, and then he's dead, and he's dead for good from that point on in the original TMNT like universe. The Kevin Eastman, what's his name? Drawing blank. Feel bad when I forget the other guy's name. Peter Laird.
Are those guys? Do those guys still have any like hand in the creation of those characters, or how they all come out, or in the writing, or anything?
They do actually. I heard like an interview not too long ago with Kevin Eastman, and he still has like he still is like the consultant to like everything.
Well, I know that there's that point in the '90s where they're just like turtles on fucking everything, and there's that one time you played a little bit of a CD, and it was all kind of like Billy. It was kind of like Billy Joel inspired, some of the songs. And
Huey, it reminded me like Huey Lewis in the News as well.
Yeah. Well, it makes sense because it was all like New York and based and all that kind of stuff. But the whole thing with that, though, they reached the point like, we got Ninja Turtles, the on-stage musical! And there was one of these points, I remember, it was like really one of those lame-ass, I want to say, maybe it was VH1, but one of those like countdown things like, you think you're a big fan? Well, check out this person for Ninja Turtles. And it was someone just segregated the clip from the actual show. And there was this lady who was in her like late 30s living at home, and she was like, I love the Ninja Turtle. Like, you're not trying to be judgmental because, I'm not gonna lie, my office right here looks like a fucking toy store. Mm-hmm. But it's one of those things when you see, like, to the dedication this lady had, she works it, she's doing everything she can to live like a Ninja Turtle. So it's kind of funny to me. Like, everything you can do to be Batman, it's like, okay, I gotta train, I gotta learn how to sleep less, I gotta save up, I gotta learn science. Ninja Turtles, well, I can train karate every once in a while, but then, just kind of hang out, eat pizza all day, not
watch
really
TV.
Fucking do. Yeah. And then she like was in debt buying props and things from the different movies, and she literally had this, I want to say she had like one of the full suits. I want to say it was the Michelangelo suit. She's like, and I've been training in karate my whole life ever since I learned about the Ninja Turtles. And she's like, she's trying to fight her brother dressed like a turtle, and he's like this bigger guy, and she's like hundreds of dollars in karate and can't fucking land a punch on him. He just holds her back like, okay, all right, yeah, it's fun. That's fine. She's just swinging her arms in this fucking turtle suit, not hitting shit. And then he's just like, another thing she tries to do is she tries to have a pizza a day. And like they were even introduced, they were showing her parents.
Pizza day or pizza a day?
Pizza a day.
Okay.
Have a pizza a day. And the thing is, Ninja Turtles, they'd always have something weird. It was never always something like, let's get a pineapple, or let's get a Hawaiian, or let's get pepperoni. It was always like chili fries, sardine pizza, or it was something weird like that. So whenever they got a pizza, she would have to do something weird with it. This disgusted me. This went from being one of those things of like, Live your life the way you want, lady. I'm not going to judge. This is where I went from me, like, no, I'm judging the fuck out of you. She got a big-ass tub of fucking mayonnaise. Pulled out a fucking knife. Spread that shit all over this fucking pizza. And that's where I'm like, this bitch is fucking insane. Everything else up to that point, I'm like, you know what? It's not the way I live, but that's not up to me. You live how you want to live. This is where I'm like,
Psycho.
no. This is a fucking sick fucking person right here. When I saw that fucking mayonnaise shit,
This is a school shooting waiting to happen.
yeah, like she probably just wouldn't get that far. She probably run in with like shurikens because Ninja Turtles want to use guns.
Yeah.
And then, like a fucking turtle's attacking.
Just like it gets gunned down. I knew this fucking day would happen.
She's like, I'll protect it with my fucking shell. They just go right through the plastic shit.
I just love how VH1, they probably found that, they're like, oh my god, this is a fucking gold mine to poke. Because that was like that early 2000s. It was still running off the 90s. Like, hey, it's okay to make fun of people.
Fuck, they're not like you and me. Fuck 'em.
Because that was really like, that was such a 90s attitude already. It was already like, put down your friends. You know what? If they're not cool like you, fuck them.
Well, the one reason, reason I brought her up though is because that's how I found out there's Ninja Turtles on like a musical opera thing. She says whenever things get really down, Michelangelo sings this song in this one Ninja Turtles play, and it cuts to like this shitty VHS quality that she probably had, and she showed it to them of like Michelangelo. Hey guys, come on! If we pull together, we can conquer Shredder. Some bullshit like that.
Oh, see, that's a sad thing too, because that's just like that's literally exploiting a retarded person for like their like weird fandom or weird quirks, and that's exactly what VH1 did and had no fucking care doing.
Well, that was a time when no one really would care. Now you get so much shit like,
oh my god,
you're
you'd be
putting
like,
down, you're being an ableist right now. Back then, it was just like, fuck them.
we got the guys at VH1 just went and had fucking beers afterwards and been like, dude, did you see how stupid that fucking bitch was? VH1!
Oh, there's Flavor Flav!
To the VH1 mobile! They just all fucking run off.
Well, I think VH1 wasn't prepared for something like YouTube, because everybody like aped that, like, top 10 stupidest fucking people you've ever seen. I mean, shit, we did one of those fucking videos.
We did too. We did it in that same style too. But I mean, like, in a sense, I'll say that VH1, like, that was technically all like the proto, like, kind of like, I guess you could say internet humor, but it comes from just a little bit older generation where it's just like these stupid shows just like talking about tactically nothing, but you almost would watch it anyways. Like, God knows why.
Well, VH1, they did like behind the music and all that, and that was always fun and interesting to watch.
Uh-huh.
Because that actually was linked to music. But it was like, while MTV started to do things like, let's do the real world, VH1 just went like, they eventually had their own stupid real world shows too, but maybe just a music celebrity like Vince Neil not Vince Neil, Poison,
Bret Michaels,
or whatever, or Flavor Flav would come in, and then you had ones where it would just be the countdown shit, and I think it started off with just music, then just like, people like this countdown shit, let's just rip on stupid fucking people and exploit the fuck out of them.
Well, it's funny because I was watching The Color of Money the other day, and I hadn't really seen that since, like, I don't know if I saw the whole movie actually back then. I remember I had like a taped off TV version of it, and I was watching it again, and all of a sudden, like, all these fucking facts started coming up to me when I was watching this movie. I'm like, how the fuck do I know so much about this movie that I've really like barely watched? I'm like, oh shit, this was on like VH1's I Love the 80s. That's where I have all these weird factoids from this movie.
I never saw Color of Money.
Oh, it's so fucking good. Like, I kind of forgot, like, all the stuff that's in it. It's like, it's a Paul Newman movie. It's a sequel to The Hustler. It's got Tom Cruise in it. Directed by Martin Scorsese. It's fucking...
Oh, really?
Apparently, there's, like... It's the initial movie that the guy, Jay, from Super Troopers and fucking Broken Lizard, that was his first movie he was ever in. He was just in the background there because he was, like, his school was right next to that place where they were filming. It's got a great story. It's just all about, like, billiards and, like, hustling and all that kind of stuff. It does have a part where Tom Cruise, like, he has, like, his girlfriend with him the whole time, and, like, Paul Newman's like, oh, we're going to train you up, boy. You're going to become the next hustler, you know what I mean? And they go to places like, this is where you're going to learn and everything like that, and there's all these, like, black guys in there playing pool, and Tom Cruise goes like, no, you got to, he grabs his girlfriend, he's like, you got to get the fuck out of here. There's rapists in here. And
Is that meant to be a joke, or is that meant to be like... No, this is how we really felt back then.
Be 1986. I think that's just a... I don't think it's like one of those ones where like it's that kind of thing where people say things and they don't really realize that... I think what it meant was that it was kind of a poorer section of town, but other than Paul Newman and Tom Cruise, there was no other white people in there, or any other color for that matter. There was no Mexicans, Asians, Indians, nobody.
He just saw that. He's like, you never seen Birth of a Nation? We gotta get the fuck out of here.
And he fucking flips out on it. Paul Newman's like, oh, it's okay. So he's like, no, I'm not doing it.
That's one of those things that comes out now. It's just like you understand it's a different time, but still, even by then, like, really? Even then? Wow, okay.
Well, I think it's just that, I think that's one thing people kind of forget. When there's a time period where you have, like, no internet and you just literally show up in some random town that you know absolutely nothing about, I think that's also what kind of creates fear.
I think when you know nothing about it, I understand that. I understand if you know nothing about it, but it's just the go-to, rapist! You guys are rapists!
He uses some other words, too, but he just has great fear of, like, this area, like, of these hoodlums or whatnot.
Let's see, like, I bet that bull runs fast. Where you going, Tommy?
But no, that's...
Because every movie, he's always running. He's running with his hands doing the T-1000. I know that's just a common way of running, but how he the knife hand kind of thing.
Like a sprinter.
Yeah, like a sprinter.
That's what I was thinking. But whenever I run fast, I always picture like the T-1000, like. But no, yeah, I was just watching that, and I just started thinking about it, because I'm like, I started just remembering things almost like right before they happened. Like, oh fuck, this is like one of Forrest Whitaker's first movies and stuff like that. And then there's all these other like little like factoids that kind of came on as this movie went. I was just like, fuck, that all came from VH1. Like, I love the '80s. Did you get all blocky there?
Yeah, I got all staticky for a second. All good.
Okay.
No, it's one of those things where, I need to see, because I'm a huge Scorsese fan. I didn't know he directed that movie, but I
forgot that too. Like, it's like I knew it was a Paul Newman, Tom Cruise one and whatnot, but I forgot. It's like, oh shit, that's Martin Scorsese.
Well, that's like every so often Scorsese would surprise you with something. Like, you got what you would assume to be a Scorsese movie, something like Mean Streets or something like Who's Knocking at My Door. And then, I'm just thinking earlier stuff, or Taxi Driver. Like, these very tough guys with guns, even if there's not a lot of action, maybe there's just some kind of underlining theme, something about, like, the gritty side of New York. And then he'd come at you with something like Alice Doesn't Live Here Anymore, which is a movie about a struggling, recently single mother who has a kid who's on the spectrum, and she's trying to get by in life, and she wants to pursue a career in music, but she's always settled for whatever her man in her life wanted to do, and trying to find that balance. So it's one of those things, like, you wouldn't expect this to be a Scorsese movie if it wasn't for a couple of like weird transitions where it shows like a cityscape, and every time it zooms in on a building, it's like bang bang bang. Like, all right, that seems kind of like a Scorsese kind of thing. But beyond that, though, it's just like he's one of those guys that like just has. He's almost kind of a chameleon in some way. Like, there's a signature you expect, but then here's some shit. You're like, oh, that was him? All right.
Yeah, he'll do those ones. I mean, like, you kind of watch this, and it has a very Scorsese feel. And even, like, just that kind of style seems like it. I mean, it's definitely, like, a little bit different, because I guess you could say it's like a sports movie, like billiards of sports.
One of my favorite Scorsese films is After Hours, which is such a weird, dark comedy, and I think that would make a great retrospect if we ever did that one, because it's like it all takes place. It's basically this one guy. One thing happens after another. This guy, he goes to meet up with. He basically bumps shoulders with some girl after he gets off his job at a cafe, and she kind of hits on him and kind of says, "Hey, if you feel like fucking sometime, man, let me know," or whatever. It's very, very forward about it. Gets your phone number. He gets home. He's like, it's all the way on the other side of town. Fuck it. Why not? Goes over there. Shit goes bad. And then one thing after another just happens. And it's one of those things where something will happen. Like, I got kicked out of this place. I left my wallet up there. I need to get my wallet in order to get back on the train. Can I please just... the only way to get around is by using your fire escape. Please, just can I do that? Something, not that exactly, but something to that effect. Here's my keys, okay? I'm going to go do that. He does that, comes back. The place is temporarily locked because the guy had to go somewhere. and then something else happens that drives him further the street, and he always keeps on going this weird cycle of events that just keeps on preventing him from leaving.
Is Harvey Keitel in that one?
I don't remember if Harvey Keitel is in it. Cheech and Chong are in it.
Oh my god, that's fucking amazing.
It's an 8. You never seen that one?
I've never seen that one. I know of that movie, but I've never seen it.
Oh, dude, you love it. It's like it's really fucked up. And there's a part where because eventually it's this weird thing where some stuff that happens is his fault. Some stuff he just happens to be there and gets blamed for it. And so eventually he has this whole suburb of people chasing him. And he's trying to just get the fuck out of there. And he's cutting through some fire escapes at some point. And I want to say he sees some window of some guy shooting a lady or a lady shooting a guy. He stops I'm probably going to get blamed for that too. And just keeps on going.
Oh yeah, we'll definitely have to do that at some point. That sounds like a cool movie. Plus, there's really actually a lot of Martin Scorsese movies that'd be fun to do retrospects on.
Mm-hmm.
Just because he's got such a big library. Especially he's got a library of a lot of movies that I feel like a lot of people haven't really seen. Because it seems like people know about the last 30 plus years of his stuff, give or take. But there's all these ones from the late 60s on up that's just kind of almost there. I mean, yeah, you got the big ones like Taxi Driver and so on, and Raging Bull and whatnot. But it's the ones in between are sometimes kind of the forgotten ones.
There's Cape Fear or something like that.
Oh yeah, I forgot. See that's the one that's oh yeah, he did that movie.
Robert De Niro with a fucked up eye.
Yeah, that's right. I haven't seen that movie in a long time, but yeah, good stuff. I think we should do. I think the After Hours would be a fun one, but I think there's a bunch of them we can do too. But yeah, you should see Color of Money at some point if you can.
Yeah, I didn't even know that was his movie. That's a name I've heard a lot. Passion of the Christ, not Passion of the Christ. Last Temptations of Christ.
That would be an amazing one to do because that's the best Jesus movie ever made. And I've watched
Jesus
a lot. I watched a lot of Jesus movies, so that movie's fucking awesome.
From someone who's not religious.
Someone not
on
religious.
A Jesus scale.
You know what's another really great Jesus movie? Is King of Kings from the 50s. It's got fucking Orson Welles narrating it. Great. It's if you want a solid Jesus movie that you could pretty much show to anybody, that movie is the best one, I think.
I feel like it's one of those things. If you can get away with a lot of those old 50s and 60s grand scale Jesus movies, thing about those, I think, because they come across as really sincere and just trying to tell a story about, all right, here's what happened in the Bible, and it's kind of on this big grand scale, and it stars dead
Charleston
NRA
Heston
guy.
and all those
Charleston
kind of guys.
Heston, yeah, it always stars those kind of guys, and so it's one of those things it just has more of this big giant adventure kind of scale to it, and at some point yeah, be good to your neighbor. But now I feel like a lot of Christian cinema, the reason why a lot of it's looked down upon is it's just so preachy and just so may he have faith in you. It always feels like a Christian rock song.
Well, I was just gonna say, that's why those old movies are really those, anything from the 40s to about the 60s are really good. Is because I think at that time period it was just oh, this is just history. It wasn't people are looking at oh, you gotta believe. It's just it's no different than Spartacus' story or, stories of Egypt. It was just all kind of in the same category. So it was just you were doing a historical movie. That's how they looked at it, with maybe a little bit of magic.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that's one of the things that I think now I feel like it's all trying to, every Christianity movie, which I don't know, I guess can't complain so much because I guess it's kind of I can't believe that Christianity movie was trying to tell me how Christianity's good. It's trying to go to a Batman movie. Can you believe that bullshit that Batman's the good guy?
Fuck him. He should be in jail where he belongs, that vigilante.
So it's one of those things, I get it, but I guess a lot of it always just feels very, sorry, you ain't speaking to me.
Yeah,
not saying it shouldn't exist because I don't like it, but it just, if it ain't for you, it ain't for you.
Yeah, exactly. But those old ones though are fucking awesome. There's something special about King of Kings, totally cool movie. But then also Last Temptation of Christ is pure amazing. Willem Dafoe is Jesus. Harvey Keitel is Harvey Keitel playing Judas. Because it's not. It feels just literally Harvey Keitel went back in time. Sometimes I almost forget. It's oh yeah, that's Judas. That's not just Harvey Keitel.
I'd like to just imagine part of it where William Dafoe is Jesus, which that in itself just doesn't make any sense. But I want to know what that looks like.
David Bowie's in it.
Is he Lazarus or something? I imagine.
I can't remember who David Bowie's character was, but he's in it. He's just in a cameo.
Okay, well it'd be awesome if David Bowie was Satan or something like that.
Yeah.
I can just imagine just Jesus looking like, oh, I don't know about this, and they have like some Roman soldier tied up. Harvey Keitel comes walking in, looking very stern, like, this guy giving you trouble? That's my friend over there. You know who his dad is? You know who his fucking dad is? Look at me, you fucking piece of shit!
Fucking Romans. Come on, Jesus, let's get out of here.
Jesus, leave the room for a minute. Judas, Jesus, leave the fucking room! You don't want to see this.
You're too good of a person, Jesus.
You might forgive him,
Jesus, so I don't want you to be in the fucking room when you're gonna see what's gonna fucking happen here. Jesus, you get the fuck out, because you're my fucking friend.
You may forgive him. I don't. Get the
fucking
fuck out.
Jesus is walking out the door, close the door, you just hear like, no! No! You gonna fucking talk now, huh? You like fucking messing with my friend?
You're like stuck in the middle with you on a centaur.
And that's why I like about the Last Temptation of Christ is I like the variation that goes that Judas, because everybody always puts Judas like, oh, Judas was the guy that fucked over Jesus. It's like, no. Judas was fucking Jesus' best friend, so much so that when Jesus needed to call in a favor, fucking Judas carried it out, no questions asked. And that's what I like about that movie. Because that's I feel like that's the way it would have went down. I like that version more.
There was what was it? There was something about, I want to say it was something. Was it about Jesus or was it about William? Oh no. I'm curious to know what David Bowie would have been in that movie, because David Bowie is always fantastic in whatever movies he's in. Was it more of just a small cameo, or was he like, oh shit, he's like the Apostle Paul or something like that?
I don't know. I haven't watched the movie in like 6 or 8 years. I think was the last time I watched it, so it's been so long.
When did that movie come out? Do you know?
I think 88.
So I want to know. So that means this movie was probably pretty close to the Mick Jagger, David Bowie Dancing in the Streets video.
Very close, probably.
Oh man.
So a lot of really good times there.
That fucking video. This is more of just a little side thing. I just want to mention this before I forget. When you can, look up Dancing in the Streets music video with no music. It's one of the most awkward, most unsettling things ever. Because what they do is, it's the whole video, but it just opens up because, you just have, because you don't realize how weird the video is, because they're just in some weird random warehouse on a vacant street the whole time, and no music. You just hear like Mick Jagger's like shuffling, and when he comes singing in, someone's over voicing him, but the guy singing, dubbing him, sounds like he's out of breath, like calling out around the world. It just looks so fucking awkward. And then when David Bowie's up there, the guy doing Bowie's voice is just like, every boy and girl, like shuffling in place. And then when he does that weird fucking dive, like that weird fucking bird of prey dive,
yeah,
and he has this look on his face, he just goes at the top of his fucking lungs, and then he goes back to them both singing like out of key next to each other, and just, it's one of the most amazing fucking things I've ever seen. I just have to get that out there.
And that video, the normal video itself is fucking amazing. That
normal video is confusing. It is legitimately confusing, because those are two of the greatest frontmen ever. And you think when the two of them get together, only good things can happen. But it's like, I feel like there's that a negative and negative equals a positive. This is somehow the opposite of that.
Yeah, positive equals a negative.
Somehow, because it was one of those things like, whoa, hold up. I'm confused with that part where they kind of going in. There's the line, no matter what you wear. Like, they're like mere inches away from their lips touching. Jagger grabs Bowie's collar, flicks it. They suddenly go back to back, looking at the camera like they're gonna go for the kiss. Like, no, we're not ready yet. We're no longer the 70s. We can't do this anymore.
Yeah, I know that video is so fucking odd and weird. I just remember that speaking of VH1, that's where I'd see that one pop up on like Rock Classics or whatever the fuck it was on.
I remember for a while I was considering trying to make a group out, like a Halloween. You have to have two people though. Make that a Halloween costume. Someone goes Bowie from that video, someone goes Jagger from that video. But I don't know, that'd probably be harder to do today. You could probably get away with that 5 or even 6 years ago. But now it's probably like, now I'd be like, wait, what is that? I'm really confused.
Yeah, I feel like that's one of those ones, like, you'd be lucky if one person got it. It's just, like, those are those costumes where it's like, it sounds fucking awesome, but then it's kind of like, the only time that would probably work really well is if you were going to an area where you had a bunch of people that were really into, like, classic rock. That's about the only time that may work. And I'm going to say may work, because you could still be a huge Bowie and Stones fan and not notice that still.
Well, then you could get somebody, like, going over to the iPod or on there or whatever, putting that song on, and like, oh, you guys gotta do the dance, you gotta do the dance. Then you're like, oh, I guess you gotta do the dance. You're doing the dance, and like 5 people are laughing hard because they get it. Everyone else is looking slow, confused. Like, are they about to fuck each other? What's going on?
Yeah, exactly. So it's one of those ones, like, it sounds like, you know what it'd be perfect for? It'd be perfect if you're doing a sitcom and you could kind of write the joke in there like that. Because I feel like that's how it would work well. But in real life, I just don't think it'd pan off nearly as well as in, like, writing.
I think it would pan out in a way, like, people would think it's funny because it's so random. Like, I don't even know what the fuck this is. Like, oh, you never saw the video? No. Oh, I know what you're talking about now. I kind of forgot about it, though. Like, oh, shit.
Shit, and I feel like probably the average Joe, like, in the last, who's, like, from age, like, 40 below, unless they're hardcore into rock and roll, has probably never even seen the video.
There was a period probably around 6 years ago where it was kind of back in the lexicon because Family Guy made a joke about it. It's one of those lazier jokes that Family Guy did. But at the same time it was kind of funny. It's like Peter was teaching a history class and he says, in 1986, the gayest music video ever happened. And they just play the whole video. The whole video. And then it cuts to Peter. It's just like, that happened, and we all let it happen.
Wow, that's like one of those ones, like, you know what? You know how we don't feel like animating for the next, like, 3.5 minutes?
Get this random video.
Yeah, okay, well, that right there probably brought it back pretty well. I thought it was just going to be like a reference. I'm like, well, that could sort of, and also I think a lot of times people laugh, but they have no idea what they're laughing at, but that one's like, oh, okay. But, yeah. So yeah, maybe if you would have done it like right when that kind of came out, that might have been like working. But I think for the most part, that still is kind of a. Well, that's why people are like, oh, dude, you're doing the Family Guy joke.
Yeah, that's the thing.
That's what you're gonna get. That'll be probably the only guy that recognizes you. Is like, yo, Peter, Family Guy. You're like, oh, that's not what we're dressed up as. Come on, do the voice, do the Peter voice.
Well, I'm dressed as David Bowie. He's dressed as Mick Jagger, so it doesn't really. Yeah.
You're Brian, right? No. Thank you for not really knowing what's going on, but still sort of. It's weird. It's like you're getting like he recognizes something. He's just not too sure what he recognizes yet.
He's got a piece of the puzzle. He just doesn't know where it goes.
Yeah, he just needs to flip it over so he can see what the design is. He's looking at just the cardboard back part.
Just slam it against the rest of the puzzle. It's not fucking working.
But speaking of other kind of movies and stuff like that, there's been a bunch of sweet movies coming out in the last while. Did you happen to see any of the ones that came out? Did you see Pacific Rim 2?
I'm going to go see that tonight.
It was pretty fucking cool. I liked it a lot.
I heard that this one is just a lot more straightforward. Just like, yeah, let's just break some shit. Which,
it's definitely like that, I'll say, because it doesn't feel nearly as classic as the first one does. Because that first one's one of those movies, like the more times I watch that movie, it's like, I go, oh my god, this is like a pure... perfect 4 out of 4 movie, like all the way through. I love the fucking whole film. Everything about it's so awesome. This one's still cool, but it's more just like kind of like almost feels like a bonus feature. And the movie's fucking short too. It's like maybe like 90, 100 minutes long. Because I remember I'm like, oh shit, we're gonna go into Act 4 now, and then all of a sudden it's just like, oh, movie's over, credits, and you're like, oh shit. I'm just not used to like nowadays. Like not even comedies are generally under 2 hours anymore these days, you know what I mean? Because that used to be always like, oh, a comedy's going to be 90 minutes or something like that. But nowadays it seems like everything's like 2 hours or, maybe just a tad bit below or above. But yeah, this one was just a little bit short, but it was still really fun. The characters were still cool, though there was some kind of missing in action people from the first one that was like, well, what the fuck? No mention of these guys? Like, what's going on?
I got a little bit of a question. I don't mind if you spoiled the movie for me, because I wouldn't mind seeing it, but I'm not dying to see it, though. What's this thing I hear everyone talking about, like, this one thing happens to Charlie Day, and it's just hard to watch. What are they talking about?
He fucks an alien, but they don't show it.
Really?
Yeah, that's like what he's doing.
He's fucking an alien?
Yeah.
Oh my god. It's fucking like look, fucking Shape of Water won an Academy Award for this shit.
Catch it, but
well, they don't really show it in Shape of Water either. But at the same time, like, look, something else won an Academy Award for this shit.
So it's got like kind of a weird little twist in it like that, but I felt like it kind of worked because I was like, "Oh shit, I didn't see that coming." But no, the action in it's cool. It's got it's got a bunch of new characters in it, so that's kind of like what it's going for. Is almost like this new team. Clearly, nobody really cared to show back up. But so I mean, like other than that, that's kind of like a little bit of a bummer. Like no Charlie Hunnam in it. And
is it like something like there's like a ship shifting, like a shape shifting alien? They didn't really. Oh, that hot chick was actually an alien the whole time, or is it like, oh, I have to fuck this alien in order to fuse with its mind again?
No, Charlie at the fucking end of the war fucking stole an alien and brought it into his apartment and put it in his bedroom.
Oh, okay, all right.
That's what Charlie did. It sounds like something Charlie would do, and It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia as well too. Now,
Charlie, like just the It's Always Sunny like theme song. Charlie fucks an alien.
That's almost like how it felt. Like they kind of like dragged it in there and so on. But no, overall, it's still really fun. It's got really cool action in it. It's got a fucking Gundam got a fucking Gundam statue in the movie because they go to fucking Japan.
Oh, I heard that Japan actually has like a Gundam statue somewhere.
So they're fighting next to that Gundam statue and stuff. Yeah, I mean, overall, dude, there's a fucking robot in the very beginning that this little girl is putting together, and it's kind of like a shorter version. And I kid you not, when this fucking robot starts fucking running away, and she's like on it, like it looks like you know that that exercise machine that like Tony Little had, where like called the Gazelle, and you fucking run with like straight legs. Do you remember those commercials? He's got the baseball cap on, the ponytail.
It's kind of an elliptical, but you have your legs straight on this thing.
Yeah, you have instead of your legs like bending like you're fucking like climbing a mountain and like mud. Instead, it's like you're fucking running with like straight legs. Well, she's literally on it, running fucking straight legs. So it's already kind of funny looking as is. But then she literally Sonic the Hedgehog's that fucking robot, and it fucking rolls and goes like away from the other one, fucking up the side of a wall and everything. I was like, oh fuck, we're getting there.
Well, now the Sonic the Hedgehog movie just got pushed back to November 2019, so we'll see what happens with that. I'm still like not dying for it, but I'm just more than anything curious what it's going to be. But that though, I'm just imagining it's almost like the Hitler walk kind of is what that fucking machine is, sort of.
Kind of, but it has but like I wouldn't even really say that nearly as much. I mean, I guess it does because of straight legs, but just like the Tony Little exercise machine is my best way, the Gazelle, to explain like how that looks.
Yeah, this one I haven't really. I'm curious about it. I want to see it. I'm not dying to see it, but because even the first Pacific Rim, maybe I need to see it again. When we first saw it, I liked it, but I wasn't really blown away. I kind of like the movie more for the. I like the idea that because most things about it that take place with giant robots and monsters, it's more like this thing just got here. What the fuck? And in Pacific Rim, it was. This world was almost kind of designed to deal with monsters. Like they were building this giant wall around the city to protect themselves from it. It kind of reminded me of Evangelion, because Evangelion, I mean, not as like psychological as Evangelion, but Evangelion was like, okay, look, this city, we know the city's going to get attacked by monsters, so when an alien's attacking or an angel or whatever, go to designated zones, get the fuck out of the city. Certain buildings will go down to minimize damage. Then other things will pop up, so it's kind of like a battlefield designed to help the person in the robot. Mm-hmm. And that was interesting. And then, they also had like cleanup crews designed to go pick up these giant gun shells and all that kind of stuff. So, and Pacific Rim seemed to have some of that in it, and that's what I kind of thought was interesting. It was just this world designed around monster attacks, where everything else was always like it's day one. And it's just like, what the fuck is going on? So I wouldn't mind seeing kind of the expansion of that.
Yeah, and it's like, for me, it's like, I just fucking love Pacific Rim. I think that was one of the best movies of that year. Like, I look so fondly on that movie. It's just all the way, as I said, I think it's like a perfect 4 out of 4 movie. Like, nothing fucking wrong with it. I like the whole way through, like all the characters and so on. And the second one's good. It's just, it's a little bit, when I first was watching, I'm like, oh shit, it's like literally just as good as Pacific Rim 1. But then it's like, kind of like, as it went on, it's like, it's still really good. But it almost, like, I don't consider this a negative, but this is what sort of feels like. It feels like almost like the Saturday morning cartoon version of it. Like, not saying it's a bad thing, but like it just feels like it's more just like, here's some action, here's some cool robots, here, like, here's some new toys, kids. Like, almost has that kind of feel to it, more than like it felt like it was missing a little bit of like the dramaticness and almost like the main kind of, it like kind of was like almost felt like a side story, if that made sense. You know what I mean? Not necessarily as much like a full-on sequel, but more like here's like almost like a spin-off movie.
Well, I think one thing is the first one was a passion project from Guillermo del Toro, and this one is more of just like, I think he produced it. He didn't direct it.
Yeah, he didn't even direct it, which was kind of weird. I thought he did direct this one the whole time. It's just like, oh, he was just producer. Shit, fucking John Boyega's fucking name came up quicker than like his did as the producer. He was like, I got some Star Wars money now.
Well, I think that's also one of those things like, second you get a guy from Star Wars in there, because all the Star Wars movies are doing pretty good. Whether you like them or not, they're doing good. It's like, well, we got Star Wars in here, so that's going to help sell this thing.
You know what's the best other part, though? The other main character, though, is fucking Scott Eastwood.
I heard that.
Because I didn't even know he was in it. Like, I knew, maybe he was in the trailer, but if it did, it went by so fast that I didn't even see it. So I was like, oh my fucking God, there we go. Because that's what I mean. I'm just waiting for Scott Eastwood to get bigger and bigger starring roles. I mean, he's still like the side character, I guess, compared to everybody else, but he's still one of the main ones.
Did they say what happened to the Charlie Hunnam character, or is he just gone with no explanation?
He's gone with no explanation. They never mention Ron Perlman again. It's kind of like, that's the only thing. Is like, there's some things like that. It's like, like all it takes is like a small scene just to explain this. Hell, like, take a couple lines.
I do think it's kind of like, I haven't seen the movie yet, so I'm not sure what they explain, but I'm kind of curious to know. They have the whole thing with like, okay, so it turns out Idris Elba had a son. Like, what would happen? Well, the thing would happen is he adopted a Japanese girl and gave me the fucking boot. That's what happened.
It's almost how it kind of feels. Because it kind of threw me off. I was like, what? Like, sister? Oh, yeah, I forgot. Fuck. Sure, that's where it's all coming along. They do have the Asian girl in it again, so that's kind of cool.
Oh, she's back?
Yeah.
Does she do anything, or is she just there with a clipboard like, hey, guys, I'm still here, kinda?
Yeah, she's that pretty much. That's kind of what happens there. So, I mean, it's really like trying to have a bunch of brand new characters. It felt like it was just hard for them to sign on some of the older characters for some odd reason. Maybe Charlie Hunnam was just too busy with Vikings or something like that, and maybe like, I don't know. Maybe Ron Perlman just said fuck it. I don't know.
The whole thing with Ron Perlman, because he's one of my favorite character actors, so I'm like, what? Well, maybe since I feel like that, maybe like the whole thing with Pacific Rim 1. Perlman, Guillermo del Toro is like, I made you. You have to be in my movie, and then because of Hellboy and all that. Then this one
before Hellboy, Chrono.
Chrono, yeah, and then because was that Chrono? I never saw Chrono. Is that
That's like one of Guillermo del Toro's first movies, and it's got Ron Perlman in it too.
Is that the one with the giant bug running around killing people?
Yes, it's the one that's got like the watches and the clocks and everything like that.
Oh, time. That makes sense. I'm trying to think of what's the movie where there's like a bug going around fucking violently killing people, and then at some point I remember what happened. Like, I want to say I remember there's a part where there's one of those things where there's like a SWAT team or a guy with a dog. The guy gets brutally murdered. You see this German Shepherd looking down. They don't show the monster. German Shepherd just looking down like in shame, like please don't attack me, just whining, and the monster just walks off. Like, okay, the dog lived. This movie's all right.
Yeah, exactly. But no, yeah, it's like other than those little explanations of not kind of showing some people and so on, like, I mean, and I feel it's one of those odd times where you're like, the movie could have, I felt like, been a little bit longer, but overall it's still really fun, still really cool, definitely worth seeing in theaters, I'd say.
Okay.
You wouldn't want to skip out on it.
I'm probably going to see it tonight. Later isn't next week or this week where Ready Player One comes out?
That's next week, so
that makes sense because that's Easter weekend and we got to find the Easter egg. So yeah.
Yeah. They had that all tied together. Did you see Tomb Raider though?
I didn't see Tomb Raider. No.
Oh, dude, that was so fucking good. Like it was pure amazing. Like I'd almost go see it again in theaters. That's how much I liked it.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Like it felt like it was almost probably like the best capture of a video game you could possibly imagine. I would probably say it's not my favorite video game movie of all time, but because that's fucking Mario Brothers. That ain't fucking changing anytime soon. But other than that,
same thing here.
And some other ones that just have the nostalgia, like classic to them. But this movie right here, though, it's like I will say probably like this one and Silent Hill, I felt like captured like the games like to a T, pretty much.
I guess my thing with Tomb Raider is I haven't seen it, so I can't say if it's good or bad. But My thing with it is I think they're kind of making a lot of video game movies on things that don't need a movie, because Tomb Raider itself is already a very cinematic game. So it's when someone says something like, we're going to make an Assassin's Creed movie, whether how good or bad the movie is, it's like, well, it's already a very theatrical, it's already a very cinematic game. It's like an Uncharted game movie. We're going to make an Uncharted movie. Like, oh, well, Indiana Jones is already a thing, as well as a bunch of Indiana Jones ripoffs. So it's kind of like, why? So I guess I get the same feeling with something like Tomb Raider, because by this point, it is a lot more of a. I don't deny the game's probably pretty accurate to the game, with the movie's accurate to the game, but I just think that I've already seen a bunch of Indiana Jones type stuff, and I can already play the game, which is already probably a little bit more of a fuller.
Really? Do you feel like you've seen a lot of Indiana Jones stuff? Because that's another one of those genres I don't feel like people exploit as much as you would think. I mean, like, there is Indiana. I know there is Indiana Jones kind of like knockoffs, but I just don't feel like they're common. You know,
I feel like that they were a lot more common 80s through the mid 90s. And then I feel like we don't see it as much, but there's still a lot left over. And then I think if we get something, I think anytime we have a major blockbuster that has that, I feel like there are a lot of things very derivative of Indiana Jones. Like, I think Marvel Cinematic Universe, even though there's a lot more science fiction and all that going on, I think those are very derivative just because they have that balance of peril, adventure, and just peril and adventure, I guess, and kind of that little bit of sense of like we're in the shit, but we're gonna be out of it all right. You know that.
Oh, okay. So you're just saying like that kind of aspect. I thought you meant like, because when I say Indiana Jones, I mean like they're out in some kind of like foreign country. They're on an adventure. They're looking for hidden treasure. They're gonna find stuff along the way. There's gonna be villains. Maybe there's gonna be something like monstrous or something kind of like spiritual or something like that after them. That's what I more mean. I feel like I just don't see a ton of movies that have that kind of style. I mean, like, even in video games, I mean, like, you know, there's Tomb Raider, of course, and that's just, you know, really just, like, as Indiana Jones as you can get, like, in the modern sense, you know, and then Uncharted's pretty much just, like, a knockoff of Tomb Raider, but, like, this Tomb Raider movie, like, what I like about it is, like, it captured the feel of, like, the modern Tomb Raider movies, still had, like, the essence of old classic Tomb Raider in it, but it still had its own kind of original story, and it did some things that, like, I've never seen in a Tomb Raider story before, where, like, they use, like, Lara Croft's dad as, like, a major character. Because a lot of times he always, like, fucking dies off, and it's like, "Ah, I'm dead, Laura. Go finish my mysteries for me. That's why I left you all this fucking money.
I'm John Voight, and I'm dead. Bye."
Yeah. Bah. You know, or just in anything. Even in the video games, he's always dead. He's always like, "Laura, I left you all these secrets and mysteries, and you have to solve them in your own house now, because it is now yours and not mine." You know, it's just always like, one's like, "Thanks, Dad. Why you make my life fucking difficult? You know what? I didn't want to actually do this, but you just left all these fucking clues and mysteries here."
I feel like, well, it's also one of those things, I feel like when you bring up the aspect of, it's kind of like archaeology and puzzle solving, I don't think we have as much as those as we probably did back in the 80s and 90s, but I wouldn't mind seeing more of those, but I guess something like a video game, there's already a bunch of it there. You already play your way through it, so it feels a little bit more of like, here's kind of the smaller, cheaper version. I think that's the reason why I like the Mario Brothers movie, is because it's something that didn't have a lot of story at that point. Mm-hmm. I mean, there's a story, but it was still pretty open to interpretation, and they went and both the original script that we went over a few episodes ago, as well as the one we got, they kind of came up with an interpretation that resembles it in some way, and it's like, I didn't think of it that way. That's an interesting way to present it. So, and I think that, you know, something like Street Fighter could still be pulled off as a video game movie. I think they just gotta, they're trying to, they're not actually, you know, they're not trying hard enough with something like Street Fighter. I think Street Fighter, I mean, I'm just gonna say this: get the guys that directed Crank and just making them like that's another topic. I want to go into that. But, yeah. So
well, I'll say that I think fighting games are a lot of times like perfect for like making movies out of, because you have these really cool characters, but a lot of times in fighting games, or at least in the olden days, you didn't really get enough story in it. So like the movie was almost like added in that depth. You know, I mean, you look at like Street Fighter 2, the animated movie. That really like tells us our whole lore of like Street Fighter right there, you know, or Street Fighter V, or even the Street Fighter the live action movie. That fills in sort of the gaps from these cool characters that you get to play as, but you don't necessarily get the story. Where I mean, I do see me, because like, you know, Tomb Raider's been fucking a cinematic game since 1996. You go back and play the original Tomb Raider game, and you almost kind of forget like, shit, they got some really in-depth cutscenes in this game and so on. Like, you know what I mean? You just kind of forget about that sometimes.
Mm-hmm. I'll say this about Street Fighter real quick. Here's my answer to Street Fighter, because a lot of times everyone just does I guess anytime you have a fighting game movie, they always just take the Enter the Dragon
Enter
approach,
Dragon, always. Dead or Alive, Mortal Kombat, Street Fighter.
Which I get that. Well, even Street Fighter, I'm going to say the Street Fighter movie, the first movie, was different. Because that may well have just been a G.I. Joe movie. And then just Street Fighter characters. But, and I actually like the first Street Fighter movie. I know it's not a perfect movie, but I at least enjoyed the movie.
Yeah, it's a great movie.
But, I think what you do with Street Fighter, I'm going to say this, and this is kind of pulling from Dead or Alive, the movie, but I think it's one of those things like, okay, guys, so here's the thing. You're all trying to get the Shadow Law for different reasons. Here, take this fucking GPS device. It's going to go off randomly. You got X amount of time to get to this location and have a fight. Fight's being recorded somehow through someone in the audience. We see a bunch of people in high stakes, like casinos or whatever, like betting on who's going to win. So that's how their scheme's there. And that leads you to the different, like, champions of that district. So that's how you get to Sagat. That's how you get to Vega. That's how you get to Balrog. And that's how you also get to see, like, okay, so that's how we get to see these characters actually street fight. And I know I'm kind of writing a movie that doesn't exist here, but, I think that's kind of the way you do it. And then you have 3 or 4 characters you focus on. So, yeah.
Yeah, no, I think that's totally, like, a way to go. That's why I think I like Dead or Alive so much. Because to me, I think that movie's fucking awesome. That's, like, in my top 3 favorite video game movies. I thought it was done so well. I mean, like, my only, like, slight, like, complaint, it's not really that big of a deal because is that you got Hayabusa in there and he's got, like, oh, a princess. He just reminds me of, like, Link from, like, the cartoon show. But other than that,
well, excuse me!
Well, because it's just, like, you got the guy that's like, who's this guy? He's like, oh, he's fucking ninja guy and the most badass guy ever. But now he's like, but princess, you can't go alone. It's like, out of all the characters you could choose to do that, you pick the fucking ninja guy pick fucking Ryu.
Yeah.
But like, I mean, that's like my only complaint. And it's like he's still. It's not like he's like not like. It's not like he's slipping on banana peels or anything like that. He still like can fight and do all the stuff like that. He just has that attitude of like, princess, you got to get back here, Kasumi. Where are you going? And, and then other than that, and then there's some characters too. Like I give him credit for just having them in it, even if they're only in it for like like one like clip. But at least they're there. I feel like that's better than like not showing them at all. You know what I mean? Instead of just or making up random ass characters that have nothing to do with it.
Well, what about Eric Roberts' character? Did he have anything? Was he actually a character in the game?
Yeah, he actually is in the story, like that character, or there's like that type of character. If you actually read like the manuals of fucking Dead or Alive,
Some of the research.
Yeah, it does have that. And plus, the weird thing too is like they got Eric Roberts in it, and it's like a lot of times Eric Roberts is in these movies and he's not throwing as many punches as he used to. I don't know why that is, but it's like in Expendables. Older. He's not throwing like any punches in Expendables, and you got this guy who's in like old martial arts movies.
Well, I think that's the thing. It's like more of a legacy thing. Like this guy used to throw punches back in old martial arts movies, and like I got too old for that. But we'll do a little wink and nudge every so often because he's in a lot of like sci-fi channel type movies and that kind of shit now. And he was in Dark Knight, and he sure as shit didn't throw any punches in that.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know what it is. He just stopped throwing punches at one point. Like, no, I'm done with that. I've given it up.
He sprained his wrist or something.
Yeah, yeah, something. I'm trying to think, was there another movie that came out just really recently that was kind of cool? Shit, I can't remember now. There was like a bunch. It seemed like March was just filled with crap, and I just do not remember what the fuck else came out.
I was sick for a while, so I was just in bed for like almost 2 days straight. And I was watching a lot of Netflix, and there was this one documentary. We went from like, oh, this crazy genre shit to like this really weird fucking documentary. Saw this documentary called Wild Wild Country, and I remember hearing about this, but I didn't really know it was this depth and it went on for this long. There's like this cult in Oregon. Did you ever hear about this? The Oregon cult, the sex guru guy?
Yeah, I think I did read about that at one point.
Well, there's this cult. It started by this guy who this cult started in the I believe in the 70s in India, and he got a little bigger. And they said we need to go to America. That's where we're going. And they start going to America, and they kind of get to this one spot, and they go to like this place called Antelope in Oregon. And they're like, hey guys, we're just doing a little hippie commune thing. We're over the hill. Don't mind us. And they start building this whole city to themselves they build. Mm-hmm. And all the people there are like, whoa, what the hell is going on? You said you're building a commune, and now you want to build a city? Like, yeah, and it's being ran by this lady, and I don't remember her full name, but they just call her Sheila after a while, and she's like the second in command. And they kind of play it off like, hey guys, we're just doing our own little thing, don't worry about it. And it keeps on getting bigger and bigger, but they're like this little retirement community of like 50. And as time goes on, they start getting more aggressive, saying, and like the like, hey, well, you know what? Our guy's fucking rich, so we're just going to buy all of Antelope. We're going to totally change the name of the streets. We're going to give them all these names after our prophets and our thesis, our prophets and ideals and all that. Mm-hmm. And they get, and like, basically, they kind of buy out this whole fucking town and start almost chasing people around. And, you know, I'm not going to lie, these old people probably, I mean, they're a bunch of old, rightly conservative people, but they're just like, we don't want these guys coming in here just totally changing our town and overtaking everything. And then they start getting their own police force. They walk around like because they're all dressed in like red and pink. And they start having a police force that does the same thing. Uh-huh. And they keep on. It gets to this point where like they're walking around with Uzis and machine guns and all that. I'm like, oh, wow, this shit could have gone way worse. If one thing happened slightly different, this could have gone way fucking worse. And it's a very interesting documentary. It goes on forever. I'm not going to take up the whole rest of the podcast talking about it. But basically, for next roughly 10 years or so, they try to absolve, I think, another county not too far away and try and take over that whole county. And there's all this shit they apparently were doing, like poisoning people, trying to swing votes by gathering in a bunch of fucking homeless people at once and trying to take them to boost and having them vote for them and all that. So it's this real back and forth. And there's even like assassination attempts on political figures that happened, but they were botched or didn't go anywhere, or people didn't agree to it. And in time, the whole thing just fell apart. They lost it. Key members had to leave or go or get caught by the police. And then the whole thing fell apart, and Antelope went back to being Antelope. It's a very interesting documentary. I'm not doing it justice, but it's like it's like a 6 or 7 part thing. Each one's an hour, so.
Oh, Jesus Christ, that's long. I remember reading about that. I think it was in that book that I had. There was like just all these like different cults and like secret societies or whatnot. And that was where I found like that Republican in the Woods like convention and so on. But because that thing sounds so familiar, I want to say I think that was in that book too.
I want to say they're like Rashish or Ranish or the Ranishis, or they're called something like that. And the thing about it is, what's unsettling about it is because you got these people who they could debate their points or whatever, but the thing is like, we're right, we know it because we see all like that kind of shit. They have that weird kind of glazed over look, and like these motherfuckers are walking around with machine guns and they have no problem. Like the government can come in here if they want, but we will take our land back. Like, oh shit, okay, all right, that's what we're fucking dealing with. Oh, awesome. And they play it off as it's ran by that lady, and eventually she leaves, and they're paying it off like, hey, the old guru guy, he didn't know what was going on. This isn't his fault. Like, you have the guy's lawyer talking about it. Like, you know, some of the people are just like, I kind of get where you're coming from. But there are other people like, hey, we were just living our life. Like, yeah, by trying to take over whole communities and poisoning people in the process. Hey, well, worse things have happened. Like, yeah, but still doesn't make it a good thing, asshole.
Yeah. Just funny how far that can go. I feel like that's almost like proto-internet time periods where you could literally just like lock something off without anybody knowing anything about it.
Well, it was a very fascinating documentary, and I encourage people to check it out. Now, granted, I watched it. I was sick in bed for 2 days, so I had the time to watch through the whole thing.
It's because you didn't eat the raw onions and the raw ginger and the raw garlic like I told you to.
I did have the raw... The day you told me, I had the raw garlic.
Okay. The raw garlic's not too bad. Try eating the fucking raw ginger. Like, that was kind of tough. Like, at first I took it and I was like, bit off a piece like it was a fucking, like, carrot. And I was like, oh, that's a little intense like this. I like ginger a lot.
I realized, because, you know, you always have a little bit of garlic and whatever you eat. And I'm like, I can handle garlic, all right? So I just peeled the thing off, threw it in my mouth, just like one of the cloves of it. And then bit into it, and like, this isn't as bad as I thought. Then third bite, I just feel the garlic juices come in and just sell it. Oh, fuck! There it is!
It's almost best to swallow it almost when you just do that, because you don't realize how intense that becomes really quick.
Yeah, and I just, so... guess what? The... next day, I was feeling much, much better after that. So, yeah, a little thing to keep in mind.
Yeah, I just learned that it was in a book by Christopher Logan or Logan Christopher. I always forget how his name goes because, you look at it two ways. Like, sometimes they do the author thing where they put the name, but he's got two first names, so it's fucking confusing. But he said that he's like, if you get sick, you just fucking take, one of each of those and eat it and then don't have anything else and you'll fucking be healed up in like 24 to 48 hours. And I remember because I was feeling a little bit under the weather like 3 or 4 weeks ago. I did fucking that. Like, I didn't feel like bad at all. I had like about 2 days where I had like sort of like allergy symptoms. Boom. Cured up like super fast. It was like, shit, that's what I'm going to do next time. And I just bought like green onions. I'm like, well, green onions would be easy to eat. You know what I mean? Because you just fucking like, just eat them down fucking like that. And those weren't too bad.
I have to try that one. I didn't take the garlic first day, but the because I didn't hear about it till later. Next day I took it and I was in bed for like 2.5 days, and third day I was like, okay, cool. I think I'm much better now. So yeah.
And the other key thing too is he says like you're not supposed to eat like generally other foods, because that slows down your healing process. Because the more food you eat, the more you have to digest, and your body can't put its efforts into healing you.
Well, I kind of wonder. There's all that stuff like just have plenty of vitamin C and have some chicken noodle soup. Like I imagine that's some just like real mom kind of remedy type shit. That's like probably doesn't help you in the long run. It probably just sounds good at that time.
Yeah, like I don't think that stuff's technically like the way to go. I mean, maybe vitamin C is not bad, but I mean, if you're gonna do that, just eat like a piece of fruit. Don't like drink it or anything like that. Mm-hmm. But I think that's just it. Just because like I remember he explained in this book. He's like every other animal in the entire world when they get sick, they don't eat. Only humans are the only ones that try to eat when they're sick.
Health tips from Old Man Orange podcast. Da-da-da.
Hey, it's a good way to end the episode. If anything, it's it's that little bit of stuff that comes together, but. It almost kind of makes sense, though. It's just like, oh, yeah, you stop eating, and then your body can just work 100% on repairing your body instead of, like, going, oh, shit, he's bringing more shit in here for us to fucking break down again.
What the fuck?
God, why did he have to go get a fucking Hot Pocket and a Pizzone?
You ever just imagine just, like, all the, like, the cells in your body are just kind of like a bunch of, like, overworked construction workers, like, oh, what the fuck is this thing? What, Jim, what are they bringing in? It's just like a big old fucking hot dog. Why is this kid jamming this shit in his fucking mouth right now? Pancakes, what the fuck? Oh.
Yeah, I always picture like a bunch of like union workers.
Yeah, it's gonna be an all-nighter. Yeah, I know, I want to see my fucking kids too, but clearly that's not fucking happening.
He just keeps shoveling food in there. Like, shit, did they give him a shovel or something for that? I mean, come on, take a break every once in a while. We want to sleep too.
Just a really, like, stressed out, underpaid workers union.
Exactly. Well, that's where, like, I started, like, with, like, just, like, eating, like, styles now. Is now what I generally do is I mostly only eat one meal, and I just have one ginormous meal at the fucking end of the day, like, at dinner time. Not like the end of the day, isn't like fucking 9 or 10, but like, like 5 or 6 o'clock at night. And then you can go to fucking town on this one meal where you can just serve yourself like 3 times over if need be. But you just keep it all in one place. So it's like, boom, there it is. You eat it, fucking can break it all down. And then your body can fucking like repair itself the rest of the day.
We'll wrap. I mean, is that generally you'll just have one big meal, or is that just when you're sick?
No. When you're sick, do not do the fucking giant. You're not supposed to eat when you're sick, other than like the remedy stuff. Like,
but you just said you just have one big meal and small things throughout the day.
I don't have small things. I just have one big meal.
You are like a fucking octopus. You just adapt to whatever the fuck is around you. Because every time I talk to you, you have a new fucking eating schedule. There's a point where just like you're not supposed to have like 3 big meals. You just have small meals throughout the day, and you would always be just cranking out like energy bars, like a piece of fruit or something, or having like a small salad. And then like now I'm just like, no, fuck that. Now it's just the one big meal. Like I can't keep track of this shit.
Well, I'll say this, really like working out and diets is almost like the most confusing thing that I've ever kind of read about in my entire life. It's like the only thing that has like so many different variables. And this is what I've kind of learned. This is kind of how it is. You can eat whatever style you want. It's like at the end of the day, it's just the stuff that you put in your body. If you want to eat it all in 6 meals, that's fine. If you want to eat it all in 3 normal meals, that's cool too. If you want to eat it all in one ginormous, like fucking warrior style meal, like you're a fucking Spartan, go ahead.
I notice it also probably depends on body type and all that in genetics and all that too. Probably has a hand in it.
I don't think so. I always, like, people always want to go to genetics as, like, why things can't work certain ways. I think genetics is a fucking crutch that people use. I mean, I think there is a certain amount that no matter what, but I think you can overcome quite a bit. I think, it's just one of those ones, like, it's almost like each person starts with different building material, and it's just like how you utilize it. I mean, maybe somebody's got more fucking clay than they do wood, but you just got to figure out how to use it.
I'm not gonna like, you're much more the health expert than I am, so I'm not gonna be like, well, I don't know about that, but I'm gonna say that I noticed just something like, because you mentioned to me one time, maybe you saw a more recent study that kind of disproved this. You told me, when I say genetics, I don't mean so much about like, well, look, I'm just big boned, so those kind of exercises don't work on me. I actually need to take a lot of sugar. That's why I have so many cookies, and that's why I have so many cakes, because it actually helps my body. That's kind of what I need in order to sustain this. So in order for me, and that's why it's different for me. I do only 10 minutes on the Stairmaster, and it's always in the easiest setting. So that's me. It's all baby steps. I'm not saying that shit. I'm saying there's the kind of genetic stuff, okay, well, just because of this guy's biology or whatever, lactose intolerance.
Oh, yeah.
I'm more talking like that. Some people probably can't intake red meat as well as other people, or something to that effect.
Yeah, exactly. Even though, think about it, if it wasn't for us, our ancestors eating red meat, we would not become the most intelligent beings that we are today. There's food for thought.
Red meat helps your brain?
Yeah, well, think about it. Think about every carnivore on the planet. They're way more intelligent than all the herbivores. Herbivores are mostly, not saying that they're, I love a cow, and I feel like we should worship the cow because the cow is magical, but at the same time, you look at a cow and it's like, well, he's not like a problem solving like a lion is, or a bear, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. No, I believe that. I mean, you think it's
or
one
a
of those
shark.
Things sharks are problem solvers? I mean, I know they are in Deep Blue Sea, but...
Yeah, Deep Blue is a great movie. But you know what I mean? And I think that's sort of it. It's you notice, if you just kind of study nature and you look at between the creatures, it's look at a mountain lion, look at a deer. Who seems smarter?
No, that's a good point. Well, I wonder if it's one of those things is we eat them and we gain their knowledge.
If we eat the humans, we can gain their power.
Something to that effect. Well, I mean, it makes sense, even because you want to say, what about dolphins? Oh, dolphins eat other fish, so that makes sense.
It was funny. I was reading this book, and it was a workout book. For some reason, though, it went into fucking history for a long while, and it never got to working out so far. But they're talking about when Christopher Columbus showed up to the islands and whatnot, and then the people there were like, "You guys don't eat your fucking enemies after you kill them? What the fuck's wrong with you?" And it's just Christopher Columbus, the guy's "Oh shit, there's something wrong with these fucking people here." And that was what they went back and told the fucking Europeans, "Dude, do you believe this? They fucking eat their enemies. Bunch of savages they are." Everything else was going good until that was brought up.
I really liked Inupchuck, but then, he said this one fucking little phrase, and it just kind of left a bad taste in my mouth.
But he was saying that, because of the way that they were, that those people lived to, they're 150 years old and so on like that. Nobody had cancer, nobody had any problems, no diseases, no nothing.
150? 150?
All those islanders there. A lot of those people were.
I don't know about that shit. 150. I don't know. I think we would have figured that out by now.
Yeah, but, it's one of those ones. It's the lifestyle that they had, and the way that they were, and the plants that they had, and just the area where. Because think about it. Europeans have had kind of shitty fucking resources for many of years. 10,000 plus years, Europeans have had kind of not the greatest stuff.
Well, what's the oldest recorded person known on the planet? 114 or 100 or?
You mean in the last couple hundred years? Yeah.
That was 114, 115.
Yeah,
something like that.
Somewhere in the 100 and teens. That's just in the last couple of years. This goes back olden times and so on.
I guess I'm just having trouble imagining someone living up to 150. Maybe it all depends on, you say, the plants and, not, of course, no GMO, none of that shit, or no,
yeah, exactly.
No modified foods, and,
probably no starches, no breads, no, everything's, fucking picked from the earth, fresh.
Plenty of exercise.
Yeah, exercise all day long. It's kind of there was another thing in this book that they're talking about. They're talking about Benjamin Franklin was writing about this, and they, the Native Americans, people, the good people of the colonies, I guess, because we like to think that they're just a bunch of heathens, but there's always somebody who's good. They're oh, well, bring your native kids over. We'll educate them. They can go to fucking early day Harvard or whatnot. And then the Native Americans would actually kind of refuse that, be you know what? No, we don't want our kids actually going to that, because here's the thing. They go to your universities, and then they come back, and they're pretty much useless to us. They can't fucking run. They can't hunt. They don't know nature. They have no fucking skills for being a native.
That makes sense. That makes sense right there.
Yeah, but they know math and science and European history now. Big fuck.
Not your people's, not sure you call history, maybe your, I don't know, like,
Well, let's make a cute name for it. We'll call it Wuck Wuck History. Be like,
come on, guys, do you really want to call it history? I mean, come on, you guys just throwing mud at each other before we got here, right?
Oh, come on, Tom. Tom, these guys, they're not savages. We're calling them natives. There's always going to be that person who's really trying to defend it, but they almost sound worse in the process. Like, they're trying to be like, I'm trying to be native. I'm trying to really live this kind of lifestyle and so on. Like, but I want to be in the safety of my own house. Like, I want to make sure that, like, I'm only around them when the lights are on.
Like, I'll go hang out with them during the day, then I'll go back to my house. I mean, I got a house, but I don't want to stay in a mud hut. I mean, I like it for, like, the cultural experience, but, I mean, come on, it's right there.
It was funny, there was another story that Benjamin Franklin had on this video, like the last one I did before. I just keep going on these weird fucking tangents of, like, stuff. But he was talking about, there was this man who is, like, he came from, like, a manor, like he was Laura Croft or something, but, like, in the 1700s. And he went out and, I can't remember why he did. I don't know if he got captured or something like that, but he lived with, like, the natives for, like, 5 or 10 years or something, like something big and long. And he finally came back and he went to the manor, and after about like it makes it probably like it could have been longer than this, but it sounded like after about a week he said fuck this, and he gave the manor to his brother, took a jacket, took a gun, and went back off into the woods and lived the rest of his life like that. They say it was like something that like the point of that was they're like people that live in that natural state of lifestyle, it's almost like they can't go back. It's like once you've seen like living like that way, it's hard. Technology doesn't outweigh like I think it's one of those ones. It's easy to go like, oh, but they got a fire, here's or heating, and well, I guess they didn't have that at that time. It's the 1700s. You got a fucking building with 4 walls and hay on the ground. Don't you want
carpet?
Yeah. Don't you want hay on the ground and taverns and?
I just like to imagine that like. Someone walks into someone's newly formed house in the colonies and just like, oh wow, this is great carpet, just new hay, I just laid it this morning. Doesn't it feel
like
great?
Takes his shoes off and like feels it between. Oh, I can feel the hay between my toes.
Oh, it's nice. I like that. Is this the hay up the hill? No. It's the one stuff over down by the river. I'm going to have to try that place out when I refurnish my place. Yeah.
He puts his face down. It's like rubbing on there. Oh, nice and soft. Ooh, you could almost sleep on this hay. It's perfect for that.
No ticks in this one? No, I haven't found any yet. Oh, that's the good shit. Right on.
Yeah, exactly.
How much did it cost you? Well, I just killed everyone there and took it. Oh, good move.
Well, good price. I like that. I'll have to try that next time. But no, just those kind of funny things. I don't know, it's just always interesting to learn like the best ways to live.
No, I kind of get that. Every so often I get the whole like... It's weird. I didn't have this when I was in my teens or my 20s. We'll wrap this up really soon because we just keep on going. But in my early teens, and I didn't get this in my teens and early 20s or anything, but the whole, like, off the grid, man. At first, like, whatever. Now I'm thinking, like, I kind of see the appeal of it, I mean, the idea of, like, go to the work building, spend most of your day there, go home to the home building, and just kind of... Okay, well, I only have enough time to do this, and this. I guess I'll do this until hopefully I get a day off. So I kind of do get the idea of just like, what I'm doing, I'm just going to go out and find something to eat. What about that? I don't know. I mean, the rest of the day is up to me, I guess. Really? Yeah, I just got to find something to eat and then I'm good. Oh, okay. I kind of get the appeal of that.
Yeah, well, that's what they're talking about. They're talking about like a lot of the natives. It's like that's why the Europeans thought they were fucking lazy because it's like, wait, what? You guys only you barely work, you know what I mean? And this is all you do? It's like, there was even like a study done like on the pygmies and whatnot like that. And it's like, yeah, they work like a third the hours in a sense that like, Europeans and Americans work. And, they live this like prosperous, well, their lives are a little bit shorter just because they're short people. I don't know why, but just something about that. Like, they're fucking done with by the time they're like 40 years old. But other than that, though, the life's great till about that point.
Mm-hmm. Sometimes there's a trade-off. Like, hey, if you had a fucking awesome life... I guess that is a trade-off. Awesome life that's really short, or a long life that's kind of, like, mundane, So it's like, I'd make that trade.
Yeah, exactly. It's just one of those kind of ones. But, like, I think, like...
I say that now, but it's like, there's foreshadowing. No,
well, I think it's what's like, and you got to be like, you can't just be like necessarily like off the grid. I think you got to go primal. That's how I look at it. I feel like it's like you got to go out there where you got a fucking loincloth on and a spear and you're running around like a crazy.
I don't got a body for a loincloth. I'd probably still, like...
Oh, you would in about 6 months. You'd be fucking like, if you survived fucking swinging from trees and whatnot, like chasing down people.
That's the thing about, like, because, in Golden Gate Park, you got a bunch of people like, man, we're off the grid. Like, bitch, you're living in a fucking park. You don't got the balls to get a fucking tent and go out in the real fucking woods.
Well, I know those are other people like, yeah, we're living off of the grid, we're eating vegan and everything like that. And I always feel like, yeah, try to go live on a fucking island or in the fucking woods and try to be a vegan. See how many days you go, And if you try to go the whole distance, you will fucking die because there's no way you could be fucking vegan out in the woods.
And we'll wrap this up soon, but I love that Joe Rogan has, like, did you know a human is the only animal to take the milk of another animal? Just like, yeah, you know what the other thing humans do? Drive cars, make planes, make movies, call each other on the phone, telling each other how awesome milk is.
No, and that's how I totally feel too. It's like, well, yeah, no shit. It's like you see like a fucking like mountain lion going over to a cow and just start fucking milking at it. Just its big old paws, like tuk, 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 tuk. You know what I mean?
He says like, give a dog a bowl of milk. Watch what happens. Like, oh my god, what is this shit? This is amazing.
I know, it's totally what it is. That's why it's always like, I don't know. It's like I understand the vegetarian thing and I get it, but it's just one of those ones like. Literally, like, what are you gonna do? You're gonna go in the woods, you can't eat fucking insects, you can't eat fucking meat, you can't have fucking eggs, like, how long are you gonna fucking last? What are you gonna do, fucking eat leaves all day long?
If push came to shove, I could go vegetarian. If something happened, me like, dude, just meat's off the table, for whatever reason, you can't have meat anymore, you gotta go veggie. I'm like, fuck, okay, I can do that. I don't want to, but I can do it. Well, vegan, I'm like, kill me now, fucking kill me now.
Well, vegan's not even healthy. That's the downfall to it. It's just one of those ones. There's nutrients. I mean, you got to either supplement or cheat by taking like drugs to fucking be like a healthy vegan. Because the thing is like, see, vegetarian makes sense. Like I'm a vegetarian. Like that is a total logical choice. You can have eggs, you can have milk, you can have cheese. You're fucking golden. You know what I mean? You get everything and you never killed anything. But you go vegan, next thing you know is. Now, where are you going to get these fucking, like, main nutrients that you're missing? I mean, you could supplement them, but where do you think those fucking supplements are probably going to come from? You know what I mean? Or you're going to be eating processed food because you need to get that supplements from there. If you do it for, like, a month or something like that, that's one thing. But, like, the whole lifestyle, I think, is kind of I think it's just more of a snooty kind of thing. Like, I mean, I get it. I understand I understand the purpose behind it. Like, I get it. Like, not killing. That's, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Well, it's another thing.
But then again, I hate that. Then you get the people like, but I eat fish. I'm like, so what? You're just now you're just racist. If all you eat is fish, then you're just a fucking racist, is what you are. You know what I mean? You're a speciesist racist. So go fuck yourself. Or those people are like, oh, but I eat insects. Now you're super fucking racist.
Yeah, well, the thing with vegans is, I mean, I know some vegans that are cool and all that, but and there's some that are like reasonable about it, and they're just like they're not too judgy or shitty about it. But the ones that are like super like, you should go vegan because this is because and why and da. When I hear that, I'm like, I mean, I'm it's one of those things. I happen to be a fairly left-leaning person, so keep that in mind when I say this. I feel a lot of times when people come at you with all this like hardcore vegan shit, I feel like, okay, you heard this shit in a Huffington Post article, so now you're just saying it as if it's fucking gospel.
Yeah, because it's just one of those ones, like, it's like, you just do a lot of the research into it, just like, especially when it comes to, like, diet and working out, because it goes kind of hand in hand. It's one of those ones where it's just like, yeah, vegetarian, you could live your entire life, be vegetarian, be totally fine, perfect. But just being vegan, it's just like, I just don't get it. Like, how does fucking, like, especially if you have your own cow, like, why can't you milk your own cow? You know what I mean? Like, what's fucking wrong with that? I mean, if you have your own chicken, like, they're just going to fucking lay eggs. It's not like eating that egg is anything wrong with it. You know what I mean? It's like...
Rooster's got to fuck it in order for the egg to become something.
Well, yeah, and if you don't eat it, something else is either going to eat it or it's going to fucking go bad. So by being a vegan, you're just being a fucking douchebag who fucking throws food out. So I don't know. It's just one of those ones like I don't have a problem with, but like in a sense, like it's like I get.
I've got a problem, but you're a fucking douche. But you don't eat that fucking egg.
Yeah, well, it's just I don't know. I guess because it comes across as kind of like. I think it's just more the asshole opinions that people get where they think that they're being healthier. I think that's what bothers me. It's like. No, eating just natural. The most healthiest thing you can do is fucking take a spear and go run into the woods and fucking kill everything and eat it. Well, not kill everything, but kill your own food and eat it. That's the healthiest thing you could possibly do. Don't cook it. Don't do anything. Just fucking like eat it right off the bone.
I had a date that was vegan, and that shit, that was a one and done kind of date, and it wasn't strictly because of the vegan shit. First off, it was like, hey, here's some good places that I think in the area. Here's a really good dim sum place. Here's a really good Mexican place. Ooh, here's this great Salvadorian place that serves pupusas. They're amazing.
I love how I bet you that's not even a real Mexican place, because I noticed that every Mexican restaurant really has, like, if it's a true Mexican restaurant, like, they have a hard time catering to even just vegetarians. It's like, you almost, like, insult their culture by asking for stuff like that.
Oh, no, this is just me opening up. Like, here's a couple of great restaurants that I know that I really like. Which one of these? Did you want to go to one of these? I'm like, I'm vegan. I'm like, shit, well, that narrows it down.
I'm out of here.
Then I'm looking through it like, shit, fuck. Okay, vegan options. 3 of those restaurants I was suggesting have. 3 of these, like, 10 restaurants I was suggesting have these. Like, what about these? Like, okay. And then, sure enough, we meet up with a date, and it's no real major chemistry. Wasn't a bitch or nothing, but the vegan thing definitely started off on the wrong foot. So it's like, all right, you have a good time. Maybe we can do this again sometime. Maybe we will. Bye.
Yeah, exactly. Just like, I'm out of here. And it's one of those ones, like, it's not saying that vegan food can't be good or anything like that. It's just, I think it's just one of those ones, like, I'm just a pro-dairy person. You know what I mean? Like, I ain't putting no fucking dairy down.
Look, you don't gotta kill that cow, but I want that cow in a fucking cage, hoses attached to that fucking thing, getting me some American milk.
Well, the thing here, too, is you could do it yourself if you wanted to, too. If you're all vegan, you want to be pro, like, take care of those animals. Go out
just
there.
laying on your back in the field. Bessie! Just walks over.
Get the raw. Dude, Betsy here, she's so special. She can make fucking... She can turn it into whipped cream as it's coming out. I don't even know how it's possible. It just happens.
He's gonna slap her tits around a few times, squeeze it.
But yeah, that's my thing. Go natural. Go primal. Be fucking Ryu. Exactly. Be Ryu. Ryu just would fucking Hadouken something.
Yeah. What if it's just... I don't know, I'm not Ken. Because I don't think I'm in physical enough shape to be Ken. I don't want to be Honda either. Well, you're like, be Ryu. I'm like, Ryu's a good one to strive for. What am I really, though, of all the Street Fighter characters? I don't want to sell myself too short, nor do I think I should aim myself too high, just being reasonable. Being like, level of I'll be Abel from Street Fighter 4. He's not entirely sure what's going on. Like, I could probably figure this out, but I'm not really sure what's going on. We'll just see what happens.
Yeah, exactly.
But, the French dude from Street Fighter 4.
Yeah, the guy who has the fucking toss attack that was like crazy in the original version of it. But yeah, it's a good place to wrap it up. We went on for a while there, all kinds of good fun stuff to talk about. But make sure to check out oldmanorange.com for more podcasts, comics, cartoons, videos, and more. Check out Pizza Boys with a Z, the comic, on Amazon, Comic Central, and Comixology. Until sometime, I'm Spencer Scott Holmes.
And I'm Ryan Dunigan. And one thing we should mention, we're going to be at that Comic Con next weekend.
Oh, yeah, that is coming next weekend.
Next weekend.
Let's see, it's literally let me just take the calendar here. Is it the 30th or the 31st? I think it's that calendar's throwing.
I think it's the 31st, or 30th or 31st. I think it's 31st. It's day before Easter, I think.
Yeah, it's the 31st of Saturday, so we'll actually be, if you happen to be in the Middle California region, we'll be at the Lodi Grape City Comic Con. Lodi Grape City Comic Con. We will be there. Old Man Orange. I think it runs from 10 to 4, I want to say is the time. It might be 11 to 5, but I think it's 10 to 4.
10 to 4. You'll be there selling issues of Pizza Boy, and you will actually have the first graphic novel there, right? Hopefully I'm not overjumping. Oh, awesome.
No. Yeah, that's all I have. I just have the graphic novel. So I got Pizza Boy's graphic novel 1 in print, issues 1 through 4 there. And then other than that, though, we'll have some other little artwork and so on. So if you happen to be in that Middle California area, come on by and see us.
I'll be there too, selling some prints as well. So yeah, hope to see you there, folks.
Okay, till then, I'm Spencer Scott Holmes.
And I'm Ryan Dunigan.
We'll see you some other time.
Later, folks.
Thanks again for listening to the Old Man Orange podcast. Be sure to check out oldmanorange.com for more podcasts, comics, animations, videos, and a whole lot more. You can easily support the show by buying something from one of our Amazon links on the website or in the show's description itself. Doesn't cost you a penny, but every single thing you buy from there just by using that link to take you to Amazon helps us out a bit. You can also really help the show out, though, by spreading the word the good old-fashioned way. And rate and review us on all the sites that you find this podcast. Anything from iTunes to Podbean to Newgrounds, YouTube, you name it. Any little bit helps. Give a sub and share it to your friends, family, any jamoke you see out on the street. You let them know about Old Man Orange Podcast. And be sure to check out the Old Man Orange comic book Pizza Boys on both Amazon and Comixology. Till then, we'll see you some other time.